Okay, welcome to Current Exposure. We have the Snowed In special edition this Sunday. We have one of our regular guests, Kevin Jenkins, coming on this evening, and we're going to talk about the escalation of violence, fatalities, and a whole lot of maximum sophisticated confusion and social engineering happening around this whole ICE situation. So let's bring Kevin on. Hello, Kevin. Good evening.
Hey, good evening.
How are you?
I'm stuck in this town in this snow, but it's good. Actually, I'm the man that shovels. I said, Gail, I'm glad I'm here so I can shovel for you.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's so gentleman-like, Well, it's probably not a big deal to you, but
if you don't know Gail, if I don't shovel, I'll be back down in Florida. No, but really,
out there with that snow.
In the wintertime, though, it's good. Things can happen. So I'm glad I'm here to do that. So I'll be up early in the morning shoveling. It's no big deal. But look, people don't even knock on your door too much to shovel anymore. But I'm young, I can shovel.
Right.
Tomorrow's going to be a little. I see it's changing into a little ice.
Yeah, sleep. Yeah,
that's not
hardening up.
Yeah, that's not good. So I'll get out there and try to do something tomorrow.
Yeah, where the kids at? I mean, if I had my son with me, I'll definitely send him over there.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, I like doing it to get some fresh air. It's it's not like I have that much, but it's still a nuisance. You got to clean up the car. You got to sort everything.
Right. The young people, the kids love that. They
don't want to make any money. But no, there was one young guy that came here and said, this was from some time ago. I said, how much is it going to cost to shovel this? $60. I said, well, you keep walking. I don't even have that much.
$60? Insanity.
But he knew his value, right? So, I mean, he said it, but I didn't accept his value on that one. Now, if he just said 30.
Right. Yeah, it's like $20-$30.
Nothing else was going on at that 60 number. So I was like, no, that's okay.
He was trying to have a party.
And if I would have gave it to him, fine. But he was getting it from the old man. He was not getting $60 from me.
That would have been his one and only customer.
Yeah, he could go home. He could go home. Yeah, that's very true. He could go home after. I got my one sucker for the day, and I would have been an absolute sucker giving him $60. And that's the truth too. I'm not going to bullshit you, Shakima. I'm like, that's
wow. Yeah. We have Brother Gene. Hello, Brother Gene. He said, "You be safe, brother."
Oh, I love him. Yeah, I looked out just a minute ago, and then I realized it's turning to ice. I was like, shucks. I said, it's turning to ice. I said, damn, maybe I should went out, but it was coming down so quick.
Yeah. It's coming down. This is a real snowstorm.
Listen, this was my message for everybody. I said, it better snow. It better be 2 feet out there. I don't care. I don't want to hear
about that.
Yeah. So everybody has their thought about this weather pattern, but at least we're having a real winter. I haven't been here for winter in a long time, so I'm really cool with it. I like it though.
Wow.
Yeah, I like the snow. I mean,
you missed it. Did you miss it?
No, not really. I mean, but I like I can go. It doesn't really bother me, but I like crisp air.
Yeah.
I like winter when it's really the winter. I'm not afraid of that. I don't complain about the cold. We haven't had a real winter in a long time. So having a good winter is good. Kills all of the germs and impurities and cleans the air. It's good. It's all about, it's God's grand design. So what am I arguing about it for? As long as you don't tamper with it. Right.
Right.
Here doing nothing all day. That's not necessarily true. But
you're always doing something.
Yeah, but
your nothing is like, okay, Kevin's working though, and he's doing nothing.
I actually relaxed a little bit today. I was watching my Facebook page, which I find hilarious. But I like,
Tell me about this Facebook. Tell me about this Facebook because there's a lot of social engineering going on.
Yeah, yes, true. What happens in the social media world? I think social media, when I years ago, some of my close friends will tell you, I didn't like to engage social media because I thought it was pretty weird. You know,
Okay.
10 years ago, I'm like, I'm not posting anything, I'm not doing anything. And I started watching it evolve. And then I started
Mm-hmm.
seeing some really good people on there having some really serious conversations. And
Okay.
it's a dangerous aspect to it, but it's also a positive aspect to it. And during COVID, I started realizing how powerful it was because it was one of the few things
Yes.
we had to dispel the lies about COVID, the lies about all
Mm-hmm.
the other issues around COVID. It allowed us to start talking about globalization. People were
Mm-hmm.
starting to understand what the World Economic Forum was, what the World Health Organization was, what they were doing down in Davos. Our relationship with the EU. Our
Right.
relationship with NATO, who was running all of these like this really integrated network of services and NGOs that were actually
Mm-hmm.
controlling the world. Then we got into this whole censorship stuff when we started realizing
Yeah.
that it was foreigners from foreign countries like the British and like the French and like the Germans that were coming over here and attempting to create a new culture around our First Amendment. And if you see what
Mm.
they're doing in England now, and you see what they're doing in Europe, they're now the thought police. If I have a thought, they can come and arrest you. And
Right.
what this country is doing is saying, well, guess what? If you're doing that kind of business and you're impacting our American companies by telling them they have to change their approach to the First Amendment, right, or the right to free speech, well, we're
Right.
not, we're going to support them over you. And that's a
Right.
really great thing that this country is doing. They're saying you're no longer going to come in here and sequester our people and strip them of their First Amendment rights, in Europe, and think you're going to do business with Europe, our companies, and then find our companies. The EU is finding our companies because we're not following their totalitarian censorship rules. And this
Wow. And
communication,
nobody talks about that.
well, you know
Nobody
what?
talks about
You
that.
can't,
The
you
real
can't,
stuff that's going on.
you can't talk about that because that's too intellectual. Like for instance, what we saw in Davos this week when Trump took a hammer to the EU, took a hammer to NATO, and took a hammer to the economic engine coming out of the UK, which is the banking
Mm-hmm.
system, and talking about all of those international NGOs and all of the wars we've been
Yeah.
fighting for them. He's saying, we're not doing that anymore. It's time
And the
for you guys,
NGOs, big
NGO.
money makers,
Yeah,
Kevin,
yeah.
millions of
Well,
dollars.
there's 4 levels to that. It's the international, global, it's the national, which I mean regional countries, and then it's the local. So all of that stuff, Trump has took a hammer to it. He's like, no. And you know
Right.
what? He's right, because we've been paying and footing the bill. And I think that this is a great opportunity for globalization to die, because globalization was stripping us of our humanity, stripping us of our medical freedom, stripping of us our banking freedom. And, we don't have a lot of people in our community having these kinds of conversations because it takes a little bit more work.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and I
You
got
got
to
to research. Yeah.
and I got to tell you, we need to start having those conversations because the expansion of AI and the expansion of all of these other technological, advances is going to have an impact on us. We're not even in the game. We're like, we're going to be technological slaves if we don't start to raise up our consciousness about what's happening around the world. And this whole notion that Trump is, breaking European norms, he's right to do that. He's absolutely right. Because
That
Europe,
will what? The
Europe,
European Union
yeah.
consists of all Europeans. That means no black people.
Well, yeah, but their countries are destroyed. Their
Right.
natural culture is destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Their nationalism is destroyed because they open up their countries to all of this immigration. So if you're a Brit, that's more Arab. Now, if you are German, it might be more African. It's what they did to their countries is outrageous. They destroyed their economies. Right? They're not
Mm-hmm.
doing, outside of the crown, controlling the banking system. I think Trump handled that well. But these countries they're not doing anything. But now what Trump is saying is, hey, listen, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to tariff you, right? Because we need to make
Mm-hmm.
money to reduce our $1 trillion deficit. And we need to
Okay.
change the trade balance between us and your countries because you've been ripping us off because we're your number one consumer, right? We don't want
Right.
to continue to keep fighting in your wars like Ukraine, right? Because that was a European war, right? And of course, America played a role because Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama screwed that up. So now he's saying we're not doing that anymore. Though. So the Trump doctrine is the Western Hemisphere, which Greenland plays a major role in that. Venezuela plays a major role in that, and all of the other Hispanic countries and all of the other countries in the Western Hemisphere. So that protects our country from all of the, you know, I say international shenanigans of Russia, which is not a problem for us, or China, which is not a problem, because China is America's best friend, because they, you know, we do business with them. So all of this, but now on the technological side and on the military side, China will rob you blind with your technology. So China's so this stuff that's happening globally, we need to pay attention to.
Right.
But the reason why we can't pay attention to is because we don't have an intellectual base of people that are not mired in partisan narratives. Like, for instance, I'm not a partisan. I'm registered as a Republican. But, you know, if Trump wasn't doing the job that he was doing on the economy, and if he wasn't reducing the trade deficit, and if he wasn't reducing gas, and if he wasn't putting a 10% cap on credit card interest rates, and if he wasn't spending $300 billion to, you know, to create an opportunity for, you know, young people to buy homes, and if he didn't say, I want to stop, you know, these investment companies from buying all the real estate and controlling the real estate market, if he wasn't doing that, I wouldn't support him at all.
Right.
I just wouldn't do it, because it's not logical to do that. You know, so I'm not a partisan, you know, in the sense that, oh, you know, I am a cult member. And what's happening is you have a lot of people on the left that are cult members. And I'm not a cult member. I don't think anybody in my family are cult members. Now, if the Democrats were doing something courageous to balance our budget, courageous to make our streets safer, courageous to make sure our children and families have the best quality food, that we're not trapped in big pharma hell where they want to, you know, take over our body autonomy and, you know, shoot us with things that we know that will never heal the body, and not look at the chronic illness that's happening in our countries and happening in our community and our country. Why should I vote for them? Why should I vote for a group of people that are hell bent on destroying this country, hell bent on, you know, bringing more illegal immigrants that's going to have an economic impact on our communities and impact on this country? Now, if you don't like this country, I get the historical narrative because I'm well versed in it. You should leave. You should go.
Where are they going? Where are they going?
Well, this is the thing. You should go, because over the last 12 years, I've seen this country, like, we had a 9%, you know, 9%, what was it? 9% inflation. Now we're like 1.5%, 1%, 2%. And if we didn't have a shutdown, this country would be even better position.
Wow.
Right. So now these are logical. These are very logical things I'm saying. This has nothing to do with, you know, Republican or Democrat. This has something to do with an administration that has its priorities right.
Right.
And the priorities is to make America, put Americans first.
Right. And I want to give a shout out to Secretary Turner. He's doing great with the housing. He put 1 million Americans in home ownership. That's he's getting a job done to me, and he's a Republican. And I said, oh my gosh, he's doing a damn good job.
Well, you know what
of these Democrats can say they put people in homes? In Newark, they only put 3 people in homes, like in 3 terms. And this is this guy's first time being a director for the housing. 1 million people. 1 million.
I didn't realize that part, but I didn't. You know what though, Shakima, I just didn't pay attention to it, because I knew, you know, you're going to make me go back tomorrow and look at it, because we're going to be snowed in tomorrow too, right? But I'm going to look at that. But I did know, as of last week, since we're on the HUD issue, that they're now going into all of the HUDs across the country, and they're going to find out if these are legal citizens that are living in these houses, because we have an affordability issue. I hate to use that term, but we have a housing crisis in this country for poor people. The HUD has gotten away from its mission of building housing for the poor. And building housing for the poor is very important, because the middle class is poor now. So it's the same thing. You got rich and poor. So there's nothing in the middle, because the middle was eviscerated during the 2008, 2009 market, when the market crashed under Barack Obama's tenure. And of course, he didn't start it. It started trending out of the Clinton administration.
It spiraled out of control.
But he didn't handle it the right way because he was not prepared to deal with the financial markets. He wasn't skilled and suggesting to the people he was bailing out. Now that we're bailing you out, I'm going to reset everybody's mortgages for 15 years so we can stabilize the housing market, because the housing market, a lot of Black Americans and Americans, period, were wiped out. They never rebounded from that. They never rebounded.
Massive foreclosures, massive.
So he was not astute, but because of his lack of understanding, he allowed Wall Street to walk over him, and he bailed them all out, and that was it.
Absolutely.
So I thought I'd give you a little bit of the stuff that happened in Davos last week. That's all.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Munira Bumani says Baraka homeless and housing plan is displacing lifelong Norkers. And Quentin Ford said this discussion is absolutely on point. Once people take the emotional response to Trump out, you will see. And I'm kind of confused, like why we don't get the facts, the data, and compare. Let's not. I don't care how Trump looks. I don't care about all of that. I care about, at this point, he's the president. Is he doing an effective job?
Well, that's
what I care about.
But if everybody approaches it that way, and in particular, our community in particular, because I think there's some dysfunctionality in all communities about this issue. But for instance, I just give you a couple of examples of logical thinking. So we've been having this big discussion in our community about developing wealth, right?
Right.
The racial wealth gap, right?
Right.
So if you look at just this, he calls it the big, beautiful bill. So if you are a homeowner, if you are a single person, or if you're a married couple, or if you are trying to build wealth for your family, right? If you look at the deductions in this big, beautiful bill, it will blow your mind. But there's one part of it that's absolutely brilliant, where you as a parent that had a new child within a certain period of time can put $1,000 in, is a form. I forgot the name of the form. People on the show listening can go find it out, where they will invest $1,000 for your kid in perpetuity, based up till the time they're 18 years old, or the time they're 20. Right. I forgot the exact number. So if your kid wanted to go to college, they'll have the money. If your kid wanted to buy a house, they'll have the money. Now they're trading on the stock market the same way the government is trading. Now this is very interesting. You don't hear anybody Black talking about that. So
but Kevin, Cory Booker tried to do that in Newark.
No, but he called it that. No, that's not the same.
That was different. Okay.
That's not the same. I know what you're saying, but it's not the same.
Okay.
This is direct. What the American government is investing in, that $1,000 is invested in.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So
okay. So it's going in the top companies,
and it's going to
top
grow.
100. Okay.
It's like having a mini index fund for your child. But then on top of that, here's something even more fascinating. Right now in July, if I'm not mistaken, you can take an I think you could do it up until 18 now. Right?
Oh, wow.
You can do it to 18, and you could put $5,000 contribution every year on it.
Wow.
So you're now building wealth for maybe your older children that don't fit into that time frame. Maybe they're 6 and 7 and 8. Now think about that. And then on top of that, he says, I'm gonna put $300 billion for Freddie Mac, whatever. I forgot.
Freddie Mae. Yeah, Freddie Mae.
And I'm gonna put $300 billion to stimulate the economy, stimulate more people to buy homes so they can have a reduced interest rate. But on top of that, I'm going to tell all of these investors, you cannot buy property anymore like you were buying. Now, you know what?
Right.
That stimulates the economy. That gives you opportunity, And I'm saying to myself, well, can I ask you a very important question? Why would you be opposed to that? Then he says, I'm going to take. This is logical. Now, this has nothing to do with your partisan whatever. When people operate like that, they're low information.
They'll say, "Oh, I don't need to own a home. I got to do maintenance. That's not the only way that I could build generational wealth." What do you say to people like that?
I don't say anything to them. I'm not. But so think about this now. All of the deductions in this bill are just incredible for families, incredible for single people, incredible for young people, right? It is going to be a phenomenal thing. So then, now on the mortgage side, he does that. He does all of that stuff, right? Then he goes and he does favored nation. He does a favored nation with all of the countries as far as drugs are concerned. So if you're selling Brazil it for $1, you're selling it to America for $1. Right. If you're selling it, and you see what I'm trying to say to you? So he dealt with the drug pricing issue quickly. Then on the gasoline issue, right? Okay, now gas is cheaper all across the country except the blue states, and I'll get to the blue states later in our discussion.
So we're supposed to be paying less than $2 and change.
Well, guess what? The reason why it's still $2 and something in Newark right now, I should say New Jersey, not Newark, is because of what he did. Now, New Jersey put a 6% sales tax on gas, and if he didn't do what he had done, you'd be paying $4 for gas right now. So now, as a logical human being, that's not good for you. You don't. So just because he's doing it, you don't agree with that. So think about what I'm saying to you. Now, I've gone from the real estate market. I've gone from the banking market. I've gone from his position on Eastern Europe and the European nations that have destroyed themselves with this whole Green New Deal, green energy stuff. Their economies are wiped out. Right. He's saying we're going to do coal. If we could do nuclear, we're going to do it all. And look at our gas. Look at our gas and electric prices here. The gas and electric prices in New Jersey is indicative of one thing: a failed energy strategy, because we tried to go into this new green European stuff. European ideology is pushing itself over here. And Trump is saying, you're not coming over here with that shit no more. That shit ain't working in our case. It's destroyed our economy, right? So now the reason why we're paying more in gas and electric is because the former administration brought into this European narrative of electrical vehicles and windmill, and it was all a transfer of wealth to the richest people in the world. That's what it is. So you don't get a chance to talk about this stuff because our community of podcasters are basically illiterate politically. And
that's why China's banning them. If they're not an expert in what they're talking about, they can't be on social media.
But see, my thing is that China is absolutely
out of control.
China's out of control. They have a credit system where they grade you on how you can move out of your community, where you could buy food. They're very serious. China is at a whole nother level evil. But But all of these things I just outlined for you are just some of the tangible things that why would you not want them to find fraud in Minneapolis? Why wouldn't you want them to find Medicaid fraud in New Jersey? Why wouldn't you want to find out 12 billion, 15 billion, 20 billion and California was abused that was supposed to house the homeless people? What about those people? Why would you not? That means that it's clear that you're a cult member. That means that you're just like something's wrong with you. Right? That means that you have been so propagandized that if they told you not to go to the bathroom for a week, you wouldn't.
Because they'll say it's for health benefits if you do that, and you'll live longer. They'll tell you some BS.
Well, on the health side, look what Kennedy is doing now. Right? Look what he's doing. He's taking the poison out of the food. He's turned the food.
I do like that. He did good with taking the poison.
But it's not over, right? But this is just the beginning, right? He took the food pyramid and turned it upside down because it was a lie, right? It never benefited. The food pyramid was talking about low fat, when in fact we're supposed to have a high concentration of fat in meats and protein, right? It was all a lie. So now you have somebody the CDC is not pumping out those shots anymore because the CDC technically was a vaccine company, right? We now know I don't want to damage your show, but we now know that all of that was a lie. We understand COVID was a lie. We understand that it was a biological weapon. But guess what New Jersey is saying?
What are they saying?
New Jersey is saying, screw him. And
Ooh.
we're going to keep the same practices that have led to high instances of autism in Union and Essex County. That was once.
Wow.
Now we're down to 6% and 3% of our Black boys are going to have autistic because they're going to still give those that poison to them when they're born. You see what I'm saying? So they're telling you, this state is telling you they don't care about you. They don't care about your children. Even if you told them the truth, they're going to parrot the same insidious evil narratives that has caused our community to be the most chronic communities, chronically ill communities in the world, in America, not Africa, in the world here.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Obesity, high levels of autism, we are the sickest people on planet Earth. And you have New Jersey saying, screw you. I'm going to still have them shoot that poison in you. I'm going to still work to take your parent rights away from you. They're going to continue on with the self-destructive narrative because I believe that they're human. They don't respect human life and they don't respect the voter.
But they say they do respect human life and they're doing this all for the sake of humanity.
Well, we now know that's all a lie. But I'm just giving you some perspective of what this administration did in 1 year. In 1 year, right? They said no tax on tips. Nationally, states have helped. They said no tax on tips. You know what New Jersey, and know what California, you know what Chicago, you know what Philadelphia. We're still going to tax your tips from the state side. So they don't care about the citizens and the problems that they have. And you said, wait a minute. They said, we're not going to tax your overtime. Well, those blue states, I call them sanctuary states, and we'll get into that later. What they're saying to the sanctuary states, and which is really interesting dynamic around that, they're saying we're still going to tax your overtime. Now, in the rest of the country, they're not taxing the overtime of their residents anymore, which leaves more money in that mother and dad's pocket.
Okay.
Right? Leaves more. Right. Think about this. But in New Jersey,
I didn't know it went into effect and what was going on.
January 1st.
Okay.
So now on your Social Security side, now this has nothing to do with your partisan cult thinking. On Social Security, everybody that got Social Security, anybody that gets Social Security, so that there were no taxes taken out of their Social Security. You hear anybody talking about that? And
can somebody get in the comments? Did they tax your Social Security?
They didn't. You know what that does? You know what that does for a senior citizen or a disabled person or a family?
Yeah, it puts more money in their pockets.
But then they're saying on Medicaid, right? We're not going to let illegal immigrants get Medicaid in this country. We're not paying for their health care. We're not paying for their education. We're not paying for their lodging. We shouldn't be paying for any of that. So you would think Americans that cared about America first would say, yeah, why are we footing the bill? Now, I laugh about this, Shakima. I do. I told Gail one day, we were talking, I was having a beer. I said, Gail, you know this whole discussion around reparations for Black Americans? She says, yes. Where is that? I said, I'll get back to that. Yeah. But guess what? Illegal immigrants just came in here and got $20 billion worth of reparations for coming in the country illegally. Hello.
Wow. But there was no money. There was no money. We have a
dispute for ancestors, Black Americans, right, that are descendants of slaves, right? When you just gave them $20 billion. Oh, by the way, if you look
Joe Biden said, there was no money. And we had to do a study on the study for reparations.
But you see my point. You see my point, right?
Yeah, just evaporated into thin air.
No, they did. A group of people came into this country illegally, and they got reparations. A group of people in this country, the LGBTQ community, not all of the community, it's split in half, not that other side, that wanted to, engage in gender experimentation, change our boys into girls, girls into boys, right? This whole notion that men can play in women's sports, right? They always talk about the Democrats always talking about they protect women's rights only when it comes to an abortion. That's it, right? But protecting them from men's sports, taking men out of women's sports, or the Lincoln Raleigh Act when that woman was killed. So think about this for a second.
Wow.
I'm a Black man that lives in this country. And my family was pretty conservative of what they're thinking because we were always about trying to make money, being entrepreneurs and those kinds of things. Why would you, as a logical person, be opposed to that? You see what I'm saying? Why would you be opposed to those 10 things I just outlined for you? Like, why would that be a problem for us? And on this illegal immigration side, I find it astounding when I see people and they're saying, oh my God, they're murdering people. Those are low information people. Here's the deal.
Okay.
If you are an illegal immigrant in this country, they offered you $3,000 to go home. Nobody's ever done that before in history.
Wow.
They're saying you can self-deport. Please leave. They choose not to leave. And then when they go and get them, right now, all of a sudden, people are starting, oh, you can't get them. You're murderers. You're this. We have to change ICE. But they didn't say that when Obama took 5 million people out of Minneapolis. They didn't say that when Biden took 3 to 4 million. And my numbers might be conservative, 3 to 4 million people out of Minneapolis. They didn't say that when Bill Clinton, the same ICE now, the same ICE, doing the same thing. Now, why is it different when Trump is doing it? You know why? Trump shut the border down, right? Trump is reversing all of the economic free fall that's happened so we can have a better country, so we can bring our companies back, because all of those trade agreements we did hurt us big time. And the only countries that benefited from was the countries around the world, because we were buying their products and we weren't making anything, so we couldn't create jobs, right? So think about that for a second. So now
I think, when did immigration, it became a hot topic when around 9/11, right?
Yeah, it did. But
that's when they started really enforcing because of what happened.
It did. But now, if you look at what they're doing in Minneapolis, now think about this for a second. Minneapolis has been engaged in some of the highest level of fraud that we can ever imagine. $9 billion.
$9 billion?
This is why you're seeing all of this chaos, these chaos agents in Minneapolis. It's a distraction, it's a psyop, right? ICE agents aren't killing anyone. Those people are going out and systematically trying to harm these young men and women from doing their jobs. And some people have been killed, unfortunately. And you know who's fueling that? The left. You know who's fueling that? Mainstream media. They're fueling that. And every time they said, well, they're being murdered. A 5-year-old kid was supposed to have gotten arrested by ICE. No, he didn't. What happened was, this is very interesting. What happened, this is what the media is doing. What happened was the father ran and left his 5-year-old.
Oh, whoa.
But where was the outrage when the separation campaign that was happening in the Obama administration, when he was caging the kids? He was caging the kids. He caged them.
I remember that.
Where was the outrage? Where was the 20 million Minneapolis people there?
Right.
What's happening in Minneapolis is a psyop and is being funded, right? I call them chaos agents. They did it during BLM. They do it all the time. And I think this president, should stay firm. And you know what? Any of those people that are impeding on those those officers should be arrested, period.
Right.
And anybody black or white that's out there supporting that, well, God bless you, because that's bullcrap.
Wow.
So think about what I just outlined for you. Now, take a snapshot of a city like Newark. It's broke. The children are being miseducated. This illusion that crime is down is just an illusion, right? Homicides, I say, just an illusion, because that's not what this is all about. There are no job opportunities. You have a highly corrupt administration. I'm just giving a snapshot of not just Newark. You could do that in LA. You could do that in Chicago. Now, what's the theme here? You could do that in Newark. You could do that in Philly. Think about that.
The urban cities.
You could do that in San Francisco. You could do that in Oakland. Look at all of those local economies crushed. People are migrating out of California every day, right? Wow. But guess what their gas is? $6, $7, some $10.
Whoa. Wow.
Over.
Can I just show this clip real quick? This article for people. It's just about the kids right here, where Obama immigrant detention policies were under fire. And basically we had the kids were lining up. Sorry about that. But yeah, you see where it says the Obama administration is under growing pressure to change its policies governing the detention of thousands of migrants who came to the United States illegally. But in 2026 is no longer a crime. Did they change the law? When did this legislation go through? That's what I'm confused about.
That's really interesting.
And I love Obama. You know, I know we have our differences on him, but I love Obama. But
right.
You know, I'm not beating him up because he was doing his job.
You know what though? I mean, I was going to say on immigration policies, I agree with him. The immigrants, the illegal immigrants in here that are in this country are hurting our nation, hurting our local and regional economies. And in New Jersey, they gave the right to an illegal immigrant to get licensed. Now, do you know why they're doing that?
Why?
Because they want them on the voter rolls, because Black Americans eventually will get sick and tired of voting for them eventually, right? So they're banking on these illegal immigrants to vote for them. But what they don't understand is the illegal immigrants aren't voting for them. They're voting Republican because it's more of a patriarchal, they like strong leaders. It's very interesting. Right. So like in New Jersey, I was having a discussion about the last election. I said, guys, 450,000 new voters came out. They cheated, period. End of discussion.
Wow.
Not to be discussed. You can't rationalize. It ain't 450 new independents. We just had a presidential election where I think Trump was almost won. He was down 5 points, right? Jack Ciattarelli, the Republican candidate, got that additional 100,000 votes that it needed. And all of a sudden, 450,000 new people showed up. Come on. You know, at the end of the day, you know, you got to be pretty stupid. And they were not 450 new immigrants, the illegal immigrants. No, that was a systematic approach. We're seeing it in real time on how they cheat. That's it. Now, those are logical positions, not emotional positions.
Right.
When you have this conversation with people, they start crying and talking about your mama.
Yeah. I'm still listening. I just, posted that up here.
Yeah.
For people to see. The ACLU they're flip-floppers.
Well, they captured all of those agencies that you thought was working on the behalf of poor people and workers. They've all been captured. So you can't even trust them at all. ACLU is a joke.
I know.
And it's really, as I'm having this conversation with you, I'm saying to myself, wow, that's a lot that was done in 1 year to move this country forward. Why, as a Black American, irregardless of what your affiliation is politically, why would you not welcome that? By the way, Washington, D.C., you don't hear anybody complaining about crime in Washington, D.C. anymore. The streets are clean. Everybody, you don't hear any Washingtonian talking about, oh my God, the state troopers are here, or the military. Nobody. They stopped them and now you got Republican governors like in New York saying, well, we don't want ICE. And you know what Trump should do? And I hope he fulfills his promise that all of those sanctuary states, they're traitors to the country. And because they're operating outside of the Constitution, and they're operating outside of the edict of how our government works, they should be looked at as betrayers of this country, and we should not give them any federal funding.
Wow.
Period.
Wow.
If you're telling me my ICE officers can't do their jobs, if you're telling me you're not going to follow the edict of changing the health outcomes in this country, if you're telling me we're going to continue to miseducate our children, you know who should be outraged?
Who?
Every taxpayer in New Jersey should be outraged. And they showed they outraged with the 100,000 additional votes before they were always cheated out of their democracy in this state. So think about that for a half of a second. So he should stop all of their funding, right? And all of these mid-level courts that are, doing all these injunctions, they don't last for that's try to slow it up. But those injunctions,
those injunctions are just delays.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think a question that nobody can avoid or deflect from is a human being breaking the law when they come into this country unlawfully? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
First of all, yes.
Because if there's a U.S. immigration law, it's not Jim Crow, it's not mass incarceration, it's not systemic racism, it's not de facto discrimination, it's not de jure discrimination. It is the United States immigration law.
Yeah.
So I want to know, my question too is, what laws can I break as a Black person? I'm still trying to figure that out.
You know,
and not be held accountable.
Well, this whole notion of due process for an illegal is ridiculous. You came in the country illegal, and there's no due process.
But they go to immigration court. There's a judge there.
But what I'm saying to you is, yeah, okay, but when they get there, that's fine. But you don't have to get there. We can send you back tomorrow. Like if they pick some up on the street today,
okay,
they can be sent back tomorrow. Now, if you have a visa issue, if you have a green card issue, and you should be able to go get due process. That's fine.
Right.
And
my thing is, why aren't these immigration lawyers organizing clinics if they feel like people aren't breaking the law and sponsoring them and helping them get their citizenship, just like the lawful permanent residents that people call them the green cards, but the actual name is lawful permanent resident. Yeah. So are these people lawful permanent residents? No, because they don't have a green card.
No, they're not.
So what are we doing here?
But that's a very good point. That's a very good point. But the issue here is what you're seeing is these groups of people that are being financed to cause chaos and dissension is not having that discussion. But 70 million, see, this is really interesting. You're saying that 70 million people, not 5 million, not 1 million, not 2 million, 70 million people, the whole country voted for him to do exactly what he's doing. So you're going to tell 70 million people that they're crazy, that you're going to tell 70 million people that, what they asked for should not be done. Now, listen to what I'm saying. 70 million people, popular vote, right? What is the other vote he won? He won all of the country.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And you know what? He's not my favorite guy, but he's the president.
Well, you know what, though?
I gotta accept that. And look at his performance.
That's it. At the end of the day, it doesn't even matter. I mean, like sometimes people say, I don't like the way he says things, but did you keep more money in your Social Security? Yes. Are they taxing tips in your state? If that's following the edict? No. Are they taxing overtime? No. Here's the thing that I found very interesting that they're doing. It's not even they're doing it. They're saying, listen, Obamacare was a failure. It gave 35 million new customers to the insurance industry. The subsidies was not about Americans. It was about illegal immigrants subsidizing their health care. Wow. And he's saying, you know what? It doesn't work because it's a tax. They were lied to. American people were lied to as a tax, right? So, and then the subsidies were going to run out. The Democrats knew because they set the date for them they actually literally set the date for the subsidies to end. And then they wanted to blame Trump and shut down the government until people started figuring it out it was a con job, right?
Right.
So now he's saying, you know what? We're not giving the money to those insurance companies anymore. We're going to give the money to you because healthcare was much better before they enacted Obamacare. You had better access to your own doctors. You had all kinds of things in the healthcare industry that was helping you because you had power over your health. So he's saying, you know what? Let's give that money to you. You make the decisions for your health outcomes. What better person to do that than you? Who logically would be against that? Instead of giving it to insurance companies that tell you can't stay in a doctor, you can't stay in a hospital too long. You can't, if the doctor doesn't give you experimental biologic he can't make they corporatized healthcare where the insurance companies control our health.
And they will roll you out on the gurney from the hospital when they no longer can get money from you. Right. They will put you in a Uber and send you on your way.
But a problem,
and you're but I'm still sick. But we have a turnover for our beds.
Well, and it started happening right when Obamacare happened because the insurance companies make the decision now. Listen to this. The insurance companies make the decision on how long you stay in the hospital, not the doctors.
And that's crazy.
So they're the gatekeepers.
They're not even doctors. Yeah, they're not even doctors.
And they make all of the decisions. So he says, listen, see, this has nothing to do with someone's personality. I'm talking about
it doesn't.
This is about effective tools that make our lives better. Now, if you look at a city just like Philadelphia, Newark, any of them, The health outcomes are deplorable. The education outcomes are deplorable.
Oh yeah.
Infrastructure is deplorable. The real estate infrastructure is deplorable. But one of the things that nobody's really talking about, they're displacing all of Newarkers right now underneath their nose.
Wow.
Newarkers are being displaced and they're being pushed out. Now, the interesting thing about it is I don't know where they're going, but it's happening. Seniors are being priced out because taxes.
Yeah.
Look, just in Newark alone, I think, and I'm being conservative here, in the last 12 years, taxes have gone up 30%. I'm being conservative. I might be off a number, a point or two, but think about
need people to crunch those numbers. All these people that say they do data and all this stuff, I need to see some numbers. Crunch those numbers, get them back to us, and because I see a lot of people riding off of emotion, and it's getting people hurt, and nowhere. People are hitting the wall. You did all of this screaming and yelling, unlawful protests, you didn't have a permit, and you went out there, you dragged your friend who like you, but they really don't know nothing about the cause. They're just there, or you got somebody, cruising for women, and they heard a bunch of women are going to be at this protest. I had a friend like that.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Oh, girls are going to be there. All right. But so he's not even going for the cause. He's going for the girls.
Well, I never heard of that, but that's pretty interesting, though.
Yeah.
But it's just like the young lady, all of these people that have been killed by these illegal immigrants. It's scary that, and I got a theory about this Minneapolis thing and all of this contention towards Trump. I got a theory.
What's the theory?
And it's what happened in the last year is you saw a deconstruction of their wealth. So this is, I hate this. I'm trying to couch it. So this is a white on white fight. What he did, he took their money from them that while we were out here marching and fighting and burning down buildings and talking about racism and talking about all of that, them same people that were pushing us out there to do that, they were wealthy. They were making money off all of these international NGOs, these regional NGOs, these local NGOs. They were making money. They were sending their kids to Harvard. They were living in the best communities or whatever.
Wow.
And so what he said, well, wait a minute, you guys, none of this stuff is producing value for this country. And how did you get all of this money? So they'll create programs on the international level and say, I'm going to do tampons for hope in Africa. And they'll do it through an NGO here, and they'll take 60% and send the 40% over there. So we're controlling what those Africans do around their health and their health outcomes. You see how the con got? And so if you go through all of the NGOs, international NGOs, guess who was running all those international NGOs? Europeans, and rich white people.
Ooh.
That's it. Because nobody black is controlling that kind of NGO with that kind of power influence. So when you see a lot of these women out there and you see a lot of these weird people out there, they were benefiting from that. And so what nobody's telling you is they're pissed at him because somebody finally caught on to him.
Wow.
You see my point?
Wow. Yeah.
So this is not about Minneapolis. This is not about illegal immigration. They're angry at him because he took their paycheck away from them that they were living off of all these decades, talking about they're doing good for the world. They're going to help the poor people. It was all a lie. And so instead of us saying, thank you for doing that, and how can we redirect some of that money to create effective human capital to participate in the development or the job development of this country, we're arguing about why those ICE officers killed someone. Those ICE officers did not get up in the morning to intentionally kill anyone.
Right. Okay.
And so you have to understand what this is really about. This is not about what people think it's about.
What about that $9 billion?
Oh, well, that's the tip of the iceberg. What about California? What about when he comes and audits New Jersey? The same thing's going to happen. When he audits California, it's going to be mind-boggling. When he goes to Chicago, the same thing. They take our money, our taxpayer money, and they do nothing but reverse it to destroy our lives and to enrich themselves. And if you look at all of the local nonprofits in this city, if you do a complete assessment of the quality of their work and their outcomes, they're just poverty managers. They're not doing anything to advance growth or advance economic growth or social growth or community growth. They're managers. They're chasing money. They're building their stuff on programs that they think they're going to get the money, but their focus is not community building. Their focus is putting in their pocket and managing their personal lives.
Yeah, and you know what
with diminished outcomes, by the way.
You know how people can tell their poverty managers when they say, well, we won't have a job if they're not poor. If they stop being poor, we won't have a job.
Yeah,
I that is true, but that's something I'm comfortable with. The day I'm put out of work because there's no poverty being managed, I'm okay with that.
Earlier on in Newark, Shakima, nonprofit corporations had a true mission of rebuilding and assisting the Newark administration as a safety net for the community while the administration was trying to build this city. The nonprofits we have in this city now are 100% poverty management organizations that are not focused on building anything sustainable for their community residents or their clients. They are empty shells. Most of them should be closed down. There should be new focus on regenerating new community development corporations that have a bigger mission on empowering their residents economically from an education perspective or from a social perspective. The nonprofits in this town cannot take a stress test right now. They would falter. They would be closed down. So the state keeps bailing them out. It's just like in the last couple of weeks, they said that they needed $30 million to pay off debt for because the city is $255 million in deficit. Well, what people don't understand, if you're running consistent structural deficits, it is about $500 million in debt you're in. That's number one. And number two, have you been paying down your debt service on your other bonds? That's number two. And number three, how did we find ourselves here after you haven't balanced the budget? And when you did balance the budget, the last time you lied to the citizens of Newark. You lied to them. This administration and other administrations around the country don't have any respect for their constituents. They don't believe their constituents should have a voice. They believe their constituents should be there as slaves, and I say slaves, I mean literal slaves, right? To their vision for their own personal selves and the people that control them. Now, these are logical things. You would think that we would be on a stage somewhere in Newark with a transformative point of view to have these kind of conversations. But what I'm finding out, the low information community is winning the day because people that you think that are intelligent, they never were. People that you think that were critical thinkers, they never were. And you can see it. It's like you can smell them. It's like you
can smell them. Wow.
Because I read stuff, and I'm like, these people we put them in the wrong class. We put these class of people are horrible. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, well, your streets are completely filthy, your housing infrastructure. But the thing that hurts me the most is that the replacement plan has occurred already in Newark. And it's not these new people that are living in these apartment buildings because they're not staying long. We have given developers too much authority to build, right? Without a bigger plan on how that development is going to impact the further growth of our city. And that's all across America in these sanctuary cities. This is what you're seeing. So affordability.
Oh, go ahead. What was about? Oh, you said affordability
will never be dealt with because they're not looking at it the right way. So if you have a 1-bedroom apartment and it's $2,500 a month, and your median income of your community is maybe 28, 36, give or take.
I think it's like 30. It's 36 now in Newark, or 39.
But it's probably a little lower. You got to understand it. So I'm saying to yourself, even if that's the case, well, it's not affordable. So why are you building and giving tax abatements and state abatements and all of these incentives to build apartment buildings that are not affordable for the people that live in? Now, the average young person coming out of college or the average family can't even afford it. So it's not about just they can't even afford it. So why do you build that way? Nobody's having that discussion.
It's a disconnect, and it has created this mass homelessness.
Well, it's a really interesting thing that I'm seeing, but just think about the logical thought of having a discussion about this and saying, hey, now what we have? We have a low class of people that we have given influence to, and we are to blame for it.
Okay.
You have listen to me. You have a low class, right? Meaning the black, clergy falls into that. They're different. The black misclass leadership falls into that. They all are proxies for poverty and confusion and chaos, and they're all proxies for a party that has been anti-black since I've been born.
Wow. That's
but
deep.
They tell you if you're a Republican, which
That's
is
deep.
so besides the point. You should be a person that's focused on your interests, no matter where it lies.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
we're so dumbed down that when you're having a conversation about it, they bring up stuff that's just, I'm like, some of the stuff they bring up on my page, I'm like, what? Like, where did you get that from? So if you get up in the morning and you turn your TV on to CNN, if you get up in the morning and you buy the New York Times, if you buy
that's all they're getting.
All it is propaganda and lies.
That's all they're getting. They're not checking contrast and viewpoints to say, hey, maybe I need to think about this a little bit further and figure things out and ask more questions about where we're going with this.
Right. Well, you absolutely
they don't. So where do they get the information? Because some people are saying, oh, well, we don't know. Which
that's a common, Shakima, that's a common theme. When people tell you that they don't know, they don't really want to know. There's some people that really don't know, but that's why I fight for my Facebook page. Like, don't come on my Facebook page if you're a low information person. Now, you might disagree with me, or you might have a different position. I'm comfortable with that. I'm serious.
Right. But and lay it out and make it make sense.
When you get out there on the absurd, you can't be on that page. I have the right to block you because you're not adding to the dialogue. So I'm not really upset when people come on with different points of view. But when you come on spewing propaganda, you can't be on that page.
Right.
You can't. Right. It's for the informed class, not the uninformed class. It's for people that are critical thinkers. It's for people that want to ask questions and not be afraid to have a discussion that might make us uncomfortable. I'm fine with that too. I have some friends that come on that we might not agree on things, but at least I give them an opportunity and they give me an opportunity to explain it. And I always try to end it with love until you get rude or you come on spewing stuff that's not factual. Because I notice in the people that are low information, they pull from certain areas, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, that's not true. Yes, it is.
They're all over the place. They're all, and they can't tell you why.
Well, that's true too.
Yeah. And I just scroll past them, like next or swipe.
Well, one of the things you could do on your show is always give different points of view. That's all.
And I appreciate the different points of views too, because they make me think. They keep me on my toes. Like, okay, well, let me go back and recheck this. Let me go back, and see what's going on. Let me look at the numbers.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And you know what, though? That's one of the reasons why when we talk and if you ask me to do your show, I do it because it's a very mature show. It's a very mature and you're very, engaging. You ask questions, I don't give you a lot of time to do that because I try to get my shit off as much as possible because I might not come on your show again. So I can just be honest with you about that. And let me get this all out because I might not be here. I am. I'm like that.
I appreciate it. And I appreciate when I catch you too. I appreciate
it. So I was sitting here fiddling my thumbs. I got a little scotch today, Gail said, Kevin, I bought you some scotch. I said, I'm going to need that.
Don't drink the whole bottle.
No,
these people will have you bottoms up.
I know. You know what though? I got to tell you something. That is very true, but I would never do that. But I think we have to evolve outside of our mundane, narratives about partisan whatever. And I find it fascinating how people are so tribal. And, and I always tell people, our number one corporation for Black Americans is the grievance industrial complex. We don't have, only thing we sell is grievance. We don't sell ownership. We don't sell anything but grievance. You can create.
It's so depressing sometimes. I get tired of it. Like, okay, at what point are we going to talk about our uplifting and what progress we're making towards that or going in that direction? Why we got to be sad and victims all the time?
Well, because you operate on a different algorithm, and we need to separate. I said this several months ago. I don't know. We need to separate from that class of people. You operate on a different algorithm, right? Your algorithm is critical thinking, right? You know, you are in search of information. You're on a different algorithm. So we're going to always be put under stress when we have to deal with those low information people, because they are stressful and they are very hateful.
Yeah,
they're very hateful
yeah.
people.
The hate is crazy.
It's
Oh my
very
gosh.
interesting, right? So now somebody would say, well, I said, so when they said Trump derangement syndrome, I really thought it was a joke. I'm not going to lie.
Wait, is that real?
That if you go through the algorithm and see people's position on him, I find it absolutely fascinating. So it is a true syndrome, right? So if you do the first step back and get people out of prison, if you make the black woman that you got out of prison ahead of getting pardons, right? If you say you're anti-gay and your Treasury Secretary is gay and you have females and I said, so where are we going with this narrative? They said, oh, he's murdering people, but no, he's not murdering anybody. They're going in, engaging, federal officers and putting their lives in jeopardy. So they have the right to defend themselves, right? On the education side, they say, oh, they're destroying public education. No, what he did was destroy the unions, who's destroyed the country. So he gave it back to the states. So now the states have got to be responsible for educating their children. And look what's happening in the sanctuary states. I call them slave states. Sanctuary states are slave states. That's what they are.
Wow.
That's what they are.
Wow.
That's what they are. They slave states, right? Wow. They want to keep us trapped in poverty, right? They want to keep us miseducated. They want to keep us on the plantation. They want to keep us mired with false information. That's the sanctuary states are slave states.
Wow.
Now remember I said that to you.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. That's deep. That's deep.
Right? I mean, think about that, sis. It's slave states.
Deep. That's
slave
deep.
states. And the sad part about it is I just thought of that when I was talking to you.
Wow.
Slave states. So
this is going to be interesting.
Right.
The next 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking at all of this and I'm like, wow. I mean, look at this. So a governor is going to tell the president, screw you. I'm going to continue to let illegal immigrants live in my city. I'm going to continue to keep housing them. I'm going to continue to give them free education. I'm going to continue. Now they're telling the American people who wanted this president to get rid of that or to put America first, right? Yeah. Screw you. Those are slave states. There's a civil war going on now. Sanctuary slave states against free states.
When Eric Adams, the former mayor of New York, spoke up about that, they came down on him so hard.
His party did.
And, right. His party. And he explained, Kevin, specifically, this is a drain on our economy. We have homeless people that are from here and have been living here, and we can't even address their needs.
Well,
because
this country
we have to put them to the side. And they went after him. They wanted him in jail because he had a differing opinion. And his opinion was logical. It was no hate in his opinion at all. Actually, it wasn't even an opinion. It was what good leaders do.
Well, and look what they have now. They have a social democrat, a socialist democrat. The Democratic Party has been taken over. But you know why? Because
that's weird.
You know why?
How is that going to work?
But I tell you how this happens. You have a group of disenfranchised young people that believe that they should get everything that they want without doing the work. Yeah. They got all of these useless degrees. They realized that they got bamboozled and they're looking for something new. They took a shiny new penny named Mandami, who is ignorant, doesn't understand the business of politics or in the business of running a city. And they're going to pay for it. They're going to pay for it.
Wow.
So the Democratic Party has been taken over by a bunch of socialist Democrats, a bunch of radical, crazy people. I hate to say that, it is true. And they have destroyed that party. Now, on the flip side, people will say, well, MAGA. I said, no, that's not true. Make America Great is a marketing narrative. It's about the principles and values of this country. But in that group, they fight each other all the time. You know, you'll have a Marjorie Taylor Greene go after Trump. You'll have a
right.
They fight. They fight. They're not monolithic. They fight.
Yeah.
And on the other side, they want you to, they want you to run into the Red Sea without it being split. Open up.
And you like, what? You ask it, wait, hold on. You want me to really do this?
You see my point? So
you got people that'll dive in, Kevin.
I know.
And I'll be looking like, oh shoot, that was stupid. Let me get out of here.
On the other side, they fight all the time. They fight each other. They debate each other. They fight each other. They get mad at each other. On the other side, on the other side, they're slaves. Normal. Their frequency is the frequency of slaves. They want people, no matter what your race is, to be a debt slave, right? To control your speech, to control your body, control where your money goes, to control what your kids read, to control what your kids, as far as gender should be. Think about how sick that is. That's some sick shit. Wait a minute. That is some sick shit. And you got Black Americans around here promoting that stuff. I watch a little bit of TV, and Shakima, I don't watch the news, but I've seen how Black women have been put into place on mainstream media to defend the indefensible. They look foolish. They look foolish. And you know what? That class of liberals love using Black women to do their dirty deeds. Right. So you got an Abby Phillips, you got a Tiffany, whatever. Those people are freaking nuts. They don't know what they're talking about, but they will choose that Black woman, right? That Black woman that class, because they were all groomed by them to go on TV and expound on everything that we know is a lie. Now I want people to pay attention to that. Every time I hear Abby Phillips, if I was in an apartment building, I would jump off the goddamn building because I don't understand.
And I don't even know who she is.
And the anger, but the anger, this pompous, like, I know what I'm talking about. You don't know anything. You are toxic. Ready? They talk about racism. They talk about white supremacy. That kind of person is a proxy, right, for the Democratic Party. They are proxy for chaos. They are proxy for misinformation. And they do it so arrogantly. Like, oh my God, you don't know what you're talking about. So here's that thing that we have to deal with. This is that little thing that we haven't become mature enough to say, well, no, you don't represent our thought process. No.
And that's a good point. Because they're on these major outlets saying things, and that's not what the people want. That's not even what people agreed to, and people didn't even choose them to even represent them.
But this is that's my point.
And Shakima's okay with kids having gender reaffirming surgery. No, I'm not.
But you see how angry. You see how angry that class of, not just Black women now, you see how angry that class of women are? You see how angry, and I'm looking at this, I'm like, people don't understand that this is all planned chaos, but it's not working. I think there's a lot of smart people in this country that you don't hear from. They're paying attention. Now this whole discussion about independence, we got to go for the independence. Really?
What
Come
independence?
On. Where? Well, we got to go attract the independent voter.
A different class of voters. Why can't you just connect with like-minded people?
Well, the illegal immigrant pathway does not seem to be working very well because Trump is getting them all out of the country. And so this other pathway about appealing to independence. Well, if you're a smart independent person, you want your economy to be stronger. If you're a smart independent person, you want to have control over your health care. If you're a smart independent person, you don't want gender euphoria operating in our schools. If you're a smart, person, You would not be forced to turn over. You don't want anybody to force you to turn over your body sovereignty to experimental biologic. If you are an independent person, you want the best education outcomes for your children, where they can read and write and have vocational skills and complex skills to work in this new emerging market. If you're a smart person, an independent person, you will want to be able to have the housing prices to be reduced and the market to be stimulated by $300 billion so you can afford to buy a home. So you address the affordability issue. If you are an independent person, you'll be smart when Trump says we haven't really fixed this farming thing yet, but I'm gonna put $12 billion out there. And then you have some smart ass black person talking about what it has some racial tendencies. What racial tendencies? The $12 billion is for you to apply for to keep you whole while they figure out this whole dynamic of food and distribution of food. I mean, wait. So if you're an independent person, you see what's wrong with this?
Wait a minute though, Kevin. During the Obama administration, black farmers were put out of business.
Wait a minute though. I hate to say this to you, Shakima. No one gets to talk about Black Jesus. No, Obama's Black Jesus.
I love him though. I love him.
But see, but we can have. But we can have. I'm being funny. I'm being.
But he made, and I know he made some errors.
Right.
And
so
I remember
independent people want what all logical people want: a better quality of life.
Yes.
Right. So independent people that live in Los Angeles know that government has failed. Independent people that live in Newark know that government has failed. Independent people that live in Chicago know that government has failed. Independent people that live in Memphis know that. So independents are just, if you want to put them in a certain political class, they're people, right, that asking the same thing I'm asking for. And I just happen to be a registered Democrat, right? And I've helped Democrats before. The only Democrat I will ever vote for in my lifetime is Gail Cheneyfield Jenkins. Because the rest of them, I know they don't understand what she understands. No, I'm just giving her a little kudos. She understands it differently. So at the end of the day, so when people say independents, well, independents aren't idiots either. They see what's going on.
They're not going to go for none of this. So I don't even know why they would try to bother them.
Well, that's true. But what you're saying in Minneapolis right now is and it's historical.
It's sad. It's so sad.
This happened in Rome. See, anytime you let the mob control the narrative, and see, the mob is trying to get control of the narrative, but they have a Augustus in office. From a Roman. See, they got a real general in office. They got a real leader in office, and he's very spontaneous. This guy have a meeting with you today and figure out something, and the next day is in the news, and he's getting ready to get done. So he speed the market. See, he's been a businessman, business person all his life. So his brain operates differently. We have never had a president that understand markets, understand global markets, understand how to use money, how to manipulate. We never had a president like that before. So he sees the world completely different. It's about control. It's about management. It's about relationships. But as long as the outcome benefits us and not someone else. So they never had dealt with a guy like this before. 1 week he'll be talking about a board of peace, and the board of peace to be together the next week. Now there's some global issues that I don't agree with him on, and a lot of my friends, they'll tell you Kevin does not agree to any of that stuff, right? So the issue for me, I think I look at these things in a very logical way, not a partisan way. I'm not a cult member. I'm not a slave, right? I know what an economy should look like. I know how to reduce the deficit. I know how to look at a state budget or local and say, is this working for me, not working for me? I know when you give me financial incentives and the tax code to make me wealthy and to protect my interests, like you're giving it to give an opportunity to rich people, right? I know when there's a housing market and now houses are underwater because they bought at the top of the market, right? Unfortunately. Now he's saying, I'm going to infuse money in. Maybe you could refinance your home to get a different rate. And maybe now you have access to that $300 billion to give you money to go buy a home. And these institutional investors, we're going to get rid of them. Now, what is wrong with that?
People don't understand it. And they're not looking and trying to understand it. And I think at some point, what part of that? That has to be personal responsibility. If you're going to get out there and complain about something, I think it's your responsibility to find a solution or connect with someone who has the solution.
Well, Shakima, I think the way you do, but the way you think and I think we're wrong. You know why? I kind of figured this out a little bit.
Okay.
The programming and the propaganda that has been done on us is freaking superior.
Wow.
You have to have a different code. Like I keep trying to tell you, you have to have a different code. Like you have to, you have a different code where you could say Obama is your guy, but we can have a different conversation about his policies, right?
Right.
Some people hated Truman, but Truman is responsible for desegregating the military, along with Eisenhower in certain sectors, right? You can say the civil rights movement was a failure, but understand there was 4 civil rights bills that were supported by Republicans before this civil rights bill. When they passed this civil rights bill, in the following month, they passed a bill, right, to let immigrants in the country, which then displaced us on the docks, displaced us in the factories, because we were on par. There was a time in Black America wasn't looking for white help. We had to help. We owned our own local economy. I hate to tell that story, but I got to keep telling it.
No, you got to tell it. You got to tell it.
We wasn't begging to sit at the counters because we had our own counters. We wasn't begging to get on their buses if we didn't have to because we had our own buses. We wasn't begging to go to their banks. We had our own banks. We wasn't begging to get educated by them. We had our own schools.
Right.
So when we brought that deal, that integration deal, which we didn't need, now getting our civil rights was important to vote and the 13th and 14th Amendment, but those bills were supported by Republicans. They were filibustered by the Democrats. Now, you can't on one end say to me, well, history is important. And then when I outline history, oh, no, not that history. Oh, no, not that.
It's very,
You can't do that. You can't.
But we get that. And those are the people I walk away from because it's like, you don't want to deal with reality.
Well, now on one end, I'm giving some support to them because the work that was done on us is deep.
That's social engineering you're talking about.
Deep.
Social engineering.
It's deep, right? So I'm a little bit more, to be honest.
Propaganda 3.0.
Yeah, but to tell you, I hate to say tell you the truth, but I kind of understand it a little bit now. I'm like, you know what? I'm a little bit more, what do you call it? I'm a little bit like, we got to give him time, but we might not survive. Now, you can tell me everything you think about Trump, but you can't tell me nothing about what's happening on your block, what's happening in your home, what's happening to your children in school, what's happening to your local economy, what's happening to your regional economy. You can't tell me anything. Now, the only way that what he did in Europe can work is if we get smart at the local level so we can integrate what happened at the global level. I mean, when I say when he took a hammer to it, we have to take a hammer to it at the local level.
I agree.
I see a lot of people out there that I admire. They're doing it. I mean, they're doing it. So we have another political cycle, right? We're going to have another political cycle after that. We're going to have So now, Black Americans in particular in these large cities that are controlled by Black Americans, if they don't start to change, and I'm not talking about just plucking somebody out of the sky and say, oh, he looks different, he smells different, he smiles different. We make that mistake all the time. If we don't get serious about our business and about what we've allowed to happen to us, who cares about you? Nobody cares about you. Nobody wants to be around you. Nobody wants to live around you. Nobody wants to hear your grievance. Nobody wants to hear nothing, because if you can't see what's on your mind,
they ignore the grievance. They're ignoring the grievance right now. It's like, not now for that. We got to deal with ICE.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
You're right. They don't. There's
a whole psychological rhythm to this. So, in getting back to what you said about you're in a different algorithm, right? So you got to dig this shit. You're in a different algorithm. You don't get up in the morning and put your pants on and get in the car to go to work and have mundane conversations and go have drinks with your friends and, go pay your bills. And you want something different for your community. You want a high level of thinking. See, so you're a different algorithm. And what happens with people like you take yourself out of your God algorithm and you diminish your intellectual capacity to do great things because you're mired into the grievance campaign because you are almost forced to because you live amongst them. Right. You dig what I'm saying to you? So I'm figuring that out at my age. Like I'm not a part of that algorithm.
They're stressful. We got Zaire Ruffin on. Let's bring Zaire on. Zaire, how are you?
Hey, everybody. Hey, what's going on? I am at work too, so I had to do some things. I had to answer a call prior to me coming. So on the show. So I apologize for my tardiness.
No problem. Just you jumping in. I wanted you to. You missed. I don't know if you caught some of the things that Kevin was saying, but I wanted you to share your insight about what's going on in Minneapolis from a young Black man's perspective. And my question is for you: why aren't you there protesting?
So wait. So my question: why am I not protesting?
Yeah, why aren't you there?
Because it's stupid. Everybody, it's laws. And the what people have to understand is that let's talk about tickets for an example. So we're okay with ICE. We're not okay with ICE locking people up who commit felonies. Because technically when you cross the border, that's a federal felony, right? And so when you cross the border, you commit a crime. So when you get pulled over, you commit a crime. And my thing is, are we going to protest the same way we protest with people get tickets? They don't pay the tickets. They get bench warrants. Guess what? You separated from your family. Right. So it's the same exact thing that's happening, but it's just in different areas. So it's really everybody wants to feel as if they're doing something, and protesting ICE is not the problem. And a lot of these people don't even vote. That's my understanding. I vote. I go to the legislature and I fight my battles like that. You going out, you rioting, you causing disturbances, and majority of the people that go to these communities that probably are in Minneapolis are not even from Minneapolis.
Wow.
They're not even in those communities.
So they're interrupting somebody's neighborhood.
Exactly. And not only interrupting somebody's neighborhood, committing crimes, committing criminal mischief, throwing rocks at people. So you're fighting a battle that you're really not going to win, because what they're going to respond with? They're going to respond with rubber bullets. They're going to respond with pepper spray, tear gas, things like that. This is how they're going to respond. So you're pretty much adding fuel to their arguments that you're justifying more of the need and the reason for them to be there and to act the way they act and to do the things that they do. And standing back and observing. Now, there's plenty of times, even myself in the job I have, I've protested police sometimes too, right? But let's just say my protest wasn't their protest. My protest was I would stand back and I would watch and observe and I'll be quiet because I want to hear everything that they're saying. I want to see everything they're doing. I want to understand if I do file a complaint, what am I really filing it for? You get what I'm saying? What's the purpose of the mission? People going out there just yelling expletives and acting crazy is just ridiculous. And as a Black person here in America, that's really not my fight. I have other fights that are going on right now. You know what I'm saying? We have other things that are happening. And ICE is showing up in a way to people that the police have always shown up to us in Black communities. They're just doing it much more on a national level. You get what I'm saying? So going to people's house, arresting people, doing pretty much doing what you want to do, that has happened in regular law enforcement too. And I participated, which I don't participate in it. But has it happened? Absolutely, it happens. So it's just I just disagree with the whole essence of people going out and rioting because ICE is doing their job. No, how about you vote for the people you have in Congress? How about you fight your battles like that, and then and try to win either from that level or from the legal perspective. But I just can't agree.
Zaire brings, how you doing, Zaire? It's Kevin.
Hey, what's going on?
Brings up a very good point. So let's just take a step back for a second, because we do have representatives, people that represent us in Congress and represent at the state level, right? And if you look at, and this is very interesting, Zaire, you made me remember something because I don't remember much anymore. If you follow the trajectory of those legislators, what they're working on, it's all about protecting the illegal immigrant. I mean, they're going to ICE, they're going to Delaney Hall, and they're saying we're here to protect the immigrants. No, you're there to protect your future voting base, which is the illegal immigrant. And think about this now. You got all of these so-called legislators at the federal level, and they're not talking about any of the conditions that are impacting the city of Newark or any major city that they're in. They're all talking about ICE. Now, here's a Black American leader. I mean, and I'm just focusing there because we just happen to be Black, right? And every time you heard from them in the last 2 years, it's about no to this, no to this, no to this, no to this. And then they're fighting every day for their constituent group, which is not Black Americans, it's illegal immigrants. So they're fighting to take your hard-working, they're fighting to take your hard money from you, what you work hard for, and give it to an illegal immigrant as a form of reparations for coming into this country illegally. Now, that is fascinating. So if you look at all of the elected officials, I saw Bonnie Watson, whatever her name is, talking about illegal immigration, saying that we're going to make it all right for them to live in our state for free, to take advantage of our schools, to take advantage of our medical.
Yeah. She said we're going to make it a right. So right now, she basically saying they're illegal.
No, it's beyond that. The mere fact that she's even having the discussion.
Yeah, they're making America free, which is going to make America broke again. How about that?
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. No, but just think about it. You had Ras Baraka laying down somewhere talking about illegal immigrants when his city is falling apart. I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing. You have Congress people and senators talking about illegal immigration is protecting the illegal immigrant. Now, not about your issue, not about the environmental issues that you have and your water in Newark, not about the crime issues you have on a daily basis in Newark, not about the miseducation of your children and the destruction that's happening to our Black boys and girls in these schools, not about think about what I'm saying to you.
So they're not working on humanity. Where's the humanity for Black people?
Can I be honest with you? Fuck the humanity. Just think about the fact that they're telling you you don't have any value. Excuse my language.
There's no humanity. They don't see us as humans.
But just think about that. And you have Black people in this city that go home every day and see the horror of it all in their neighborhoods. But they're going to tell you something about Trump. I mean, really? Seriously? Come on, guys. Exactly. You're not prepared to have a global or a national conversation. You ain't doing that work anyway. But just think about that, guys. Think about that.
And people don't understand the biggest government to you is the one, as I always say, the biggest government to you is the one you always lay next to, which is your municipal government.
Yeah.
Your municipal government is the biggest government to you. It is very rare to see FBI agents walk down the street. It is very rare to see a congresswoman, walk down the street, but she can stand in front of Delaney Hall and throw punches at ICE agents. It's very rare to see people, because if she was fighting people to get jobs the way she was fighting them ICE agents, Newark probably would have a low unemployment rate. Let's just say it like that, right? So
60,000 over 60,000 in poverty too.
So it's over 60,000 people in the city of Newark are impoverished. But yet again, we're protesting people for Delaney Hall, but those conditions mirror the conditions of the county jail,
right across the street,
directly across. No, they share a parking lot.
Wow,
lot.
Right,
right. Same lot. So we have been. I really think that I just really think that us as Black Americans, we got to open up our eyes to who we vote for, and really do we really benefit for it, And I tell people, just because they're Black doesn't mean it's beneficial all the time.
Yeah, that's true. What they say, that's a saying. I forgot. I can't retain it, but we have done
skin folk.
But right. But one of the things, Zaire, you're absolutely right though. You got me thinking. You're absolutely right. And, one of the things about these kinds of shows, we don't have enough of them, and we don't have enough time to be on them all the time. But I'm glad that young people like yourselves are having that discussion, because I got to tell you, your group is in trouble. Mm-hmm. I mean, they don't even get it. I mean, first of all, you got too many beta men. I tell you, I mean, goddamn, I can't find a real guy anymore around. I don't know what the fuck. I mean, I got a headache, Zaire. I'm like, is there anybody in Newark that got any balls? Is there anybody in Newark that could stand up to?
They took them, Kevin. They took the balls when they did the gender reaffirming thing. So they
oh God, I didn't know that.
Cut the balls right out.
Well, and when I say that, I'm not attacking your gender. I'm attacking your consciousness. Like what? Like, are you not conscious of what's happening in your family life, your community life? And never mind all of these other outside forces. But I'm saying, like, give me a break. Like, are you kidding me? So if you go into a conversation with someone about something really serious, you know where they go with Zaire? Well, Trump. I said, what in the hell does Trump have to do with a young man being killed on your corner after you say a homicide? Every time he makes a declaration, more people die. This is my suggestion for Ras Baraka. No more declarations. No more saying homicides are down. No, just leave it alone.
Right. It ends up being some type of shooting spree or something.
Well, because you can't qualify economic growth on that. You can't say that is something you should be proud of. But you're not talking about the reclassification of your crimes, right? You're not talking about majority of reporting. So you're lying you're lying from day one. But because we're low information, he's tapped into the low information marketplace. They don't know. They don't care. They don't care about seeing garbage on their streets. They don't care about young boys standing on the corners all day. They don't care about our young girls, forgetting that they are young ladies and women or future wives. They don't care. They don't care about any of that. So for me, to be able to have this conversation with you, Shakima, is therapeutic for me, because I'm looking at these people like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Are you, I'm sorry, like, what? And I got to tell you, I'm older than both of you. So I'm like, what the fuck? And I have to do it. I have to do it in my mind.
We're doing the same thing though, Kevin. We're doing the same. We call it WTF.
What is that? Oh, what the? I'm a little slow on those things. That's funny. But you know what I'm saying, right? So I'm saying to myself, like, you really don't see what's going on? Like, you just comfortable with living with nothing? You don't even have self-pride, right? And so when I see people like you, when I see all of you doing what you're doing, it gives me just a little bit of hope, right? That somebody is thinking. Like, look at your Board of Education, look at your municipal council, look at your government, period. I call it institutional corruption. It's embedded in the DNA to destroy life and to cause chaos and destruction. And when you do that, your markets will never grow. Downtown is now fully ran by drug dealers and gangs.
Wow.
There's no stores downtown worth even going to.
Right. Right.
I just find it fascinating that all of this young energy, in this town are not rising up against it, or at least seeking advice on how to deal with it. When I went to the Newark Housing Authority the other day, I went there with 1 in 10.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
The capacity that people in Newark are smart. We understand the law. We understand regulations. And what you're doing is you're not fulfilling your obligation to the First Amendment. And you are now using a flawed legal premise that is your only personal legal opinion. That's you trying to supersede the regs of HUD. And the regs of HUD is quite clear. Now, why did I have to do that? Why did I have to go and do that?
You had to.
Because our government is corrupt. Is institutionally corrupt. So if you don't do that, it's no screaming, no hollering, dictating policy, dictating what should be done, and saying you are now breaking the law.
Right.
Now the next time I come down there, I'm gonna have a bunch of people behind me saying the same thing.
Right. And I've seen that. I seen the video when you went, and I was like, Kevin knows what he's talking about. This is actual legislation. He's not just making stuff up or, putting his preferences on other people. This is our law. This is our social contract. This is how we keep our government accountable.
But Shakima, the arrogance of it, right? The arrogance of it, the hubris of it, to tell a resident or an American that pays taxes or a senior citizen or any resident that they don't have the full access to different opinions of thought about their politics or their community, and that the agency that is supposed to empower those people through work, creating jobs and creating opportunity. They're saying, "Oh no, we're going to stop you. You can't do that." Now, in any other town, they could get away with it, but not here. And we should do a better job in doing that. Like when you guys go to the council meeting, I'm very impressed by what's going on. I call it the erosion effect. Every time they get up there and they lay out some of the things that are happening in the city, people at home say, "Damn." But they don't have the groups of people to help them to push and break that log jam that's happening. So I get it. I get what's happening. So my thing is, we need to articulate what we're going to accept and what we're going to not accept. And we need to use the law, and we need to use our people power and influence to deal with it, because it only takes a small look. It's never a group of people that change the world. It's only a small group of people that change the world.
Right.
It's never a big masses of people that do that. So all of it's working in unison, because we're getting ready to go into silly season. So, you got all these people running for office. They do have the right. Now they do have the right. But what I'm saying, even for those people who did not know the law, now they know it. It helped them too.
Yeah.
It helped them too. Now they know it, So that's how I'm looking at it.
Wow. This is mind-blowing. This is mind-blowing. I can't believe we're here in 2026. We should be focusing on getting involved in AI, but we're not. We're not even on schedule. We're dealing with stuff that wasn't addressed 3 terms ago.
Well, listen, it's really interesting. It's really interesting. I see someone talked about the Hatch Act, right? The Hatch Act was absolutely misinterpreted. They were using the Hatch Act against candidates and/or incumbents. You cannot tell a resident in a building that I can't come in and talk about anything. That infringes on their First Amendment rights. Now, Hatch Act is if you're an employee and you're engaged in political solicitation, right? But 9 out of 10 times, you can't stop me from coming and having a public meeting in your building where you're receiving federal funding and/or state funding, right? You cannot do that. That's not what the Hatch Act is. And I can't even believe that they were actually trying to use that as a vehicle to stop you from coming in. And if you listen to what Mr. Spicer said, which was professionally, he kind of basically regurgitated what I said with some caveats. But he did say at the end, if I do find any of my staff members or my team engaging in electioneering, right, they will be seriously reprimanded. But now here's a caveat to that.
Wow.
If you have work at 5 o'clock, if you have work at 6 o'clock, and you're in senior buildings of public housing, right, you're still electioneering. So you're still breaking the law. You still are representing the Newark Housing Authority. You might not be saying because you're off clock. No, you're not, because they still see you as an employee of the Newark Housing Authority. And we will catch them because they're not very smart people. They're going to get nickel slick. They're very nickel slick, so we're going to catch them. And that is why I wanted to have that conversation. That's why I wanted to go and articulate that. The board was very respectful. Nobody was disrespectful. It was a clean narrative, and it was fine. There was no hostility there.
No, and it wasn't. You laid it out. Boom, boom, boom. This is the law. This is what it says.
I warned them that this is going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. Yeah. So now that obstacle is out of the way. Now there's another obstacle. You have private buildings. They call themselves private buildings, right? That get fully funded by HUD and the state. That's saying that we're a private building and we can't. No. You fit under the same guy. The First Amendment is the First Amendment. You can't supersede that. You can't tell me as a resident, I can't invite those people in the building to have a conversation about something that's impacting me. You cannot do that. And all of these buildings have common space. So now these buildings are going to be put on notice too, because we're going to fight to get their federal funding taken away from them, because what they're doing, they're dismantling the First Amendment. And I got to tell you, the First Amendment is a hot topic in this country right now.
Wow.
There's no such thing as hate speech. It's only free speech. Hate speech is manufactured. If you call me an N-word, I got you. I can call you a dirty word. That's the beauty of this country. Nobody, there's no such thing as hate speech. Hate speech is a way to slice through free speech. And that's what globally. Like, you are not going to tell our citizens that are doing business in your country that they can't use the free speech that's given to them, that's endowed on them in this country, and you're going to punish our companies because they don't buy into your lack of free speech or your diminished capacity to understand free speech. That is a big broader issue going on now. So there's no such thing as hate speech. So when people say hate speech, I'm like, wow, what is that? That's not in the Constitution, is it? Right? The Constitution, whether you like it or not, has been a really brilliant vehicle, even though it was for them to protect them. But guess what? It ended up protecting us.
Right.
If we didn't have freedom of speech, we would still be locked in our houses after COVID.
Exactly. Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we have all the tools to defend them, to defeat them, right? And we just have to get off our butts, because after 12 years, after 16 years, Newark is in reverse.
Oh, right. That's what I'm saying. Right.
It's just not Newark, though. I'm just using Newark as an example because I'm sitting here right now. And Newark is like at the pinnacle of mismanagement and corruption. And the arrogance behind it is absolutely astounding.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Yeah.
And they never get in a room and have a discussion with a person like yourself or me. They will never come in a room and have a discussion about the conditions that they have set forth. And it really doesn't matter, because I would make mincemeat out of them. But and not intentionally, just to have an organized thought, a discussion.
You invited that. And they never showed up. Remember, you said you were going to give $10,000 to a charity. 50?
I said 50.
Oh, okay. I remember that. Yeah. And we were ready to do it.
I forgot about that, Shakima. I'm sorry. I forgot about that.
Yeah. I gotta repost that.
When I was growing up in this community, which I love, I know these people. I was born and raised here. Right. And I say that with pride, because the culture of people I was raised with was about prosperity and ownership and education and values and principles and family. We're not these quasi people you see now. Right. So for me, it's like, okay, where did we go wrong? We went wrong because we accepted a different set of values that worked against us. We went wrong because we chose elected officials because they were black, not effectively black, but black. We went wrong because we let, institutional corruption permeate through our whole culture in the city of Newark. We went wrong because we allowed the continued mismanagement of education in this city. We went wrong. You want me to go? We went wrong on our health outcomes in this. So I can go on and on and on about that. But at the end of the day, we are to blame for that. Not Trump, not Bubba in Texas, we are. Not Hilda in Jamaica. We are.
Right. Zaire, are you with us? Okay. Hold on. Okay. He okay. Hold on.
That's one of the things. That's one of the things, Shakima, that is always great when you have this show and get a diverse. No, look, get an array.
I invited others. I guess they're couch activists, but they could have sat on their couch and did this, because I try to get different perspectives and they won't come on. And I'm like, well, let us hear it. Let us hash it all out. Maybe you'll say something that makes a light bulb go off in our head. And maybe we'll have a meeting of the minds and some common ground. But if you don't want to come on, but you got all these thoughts and opinions about this and that, and you're spreading it in your community, but you can't sit down with people who have different point of views. I don't understand that. How do you grow from that?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people, that's a very good point. That's a really good point. And, I don't run into that often, because to tell you the truth, Shakima, I really don't spend that kind of time, because I already have made up my mind already. I'm like, okay, I know what kind of class of person you are. There's no sense of having this conversation. But if you do get something out of the conversation we're having, Shakima, if they do, God bless them. Because you got to do a lot of work here. But first of all, you got to trust yourself. You got to love yourself. You got to trust yourself. You got to love yourself. And you got to be open to new information. right? And you got to be willing to work with people. I am not opposed to working with people. That's one thing. I'm not, if you come to me with something logical, I'm like, wow, I never thought about it that way. Let me explore it with you for a minute, because I like that. Those are new ideas we can create to create opportunity, but we're failing. Every day I get up and I'm in this town, I see where our future is, because I look at all of these children in this town. I look at all of these young people in this town. They're not going to be employable.
Yep.
And that is a international, that is a crisis. That is a human crisis. That is a Black crisis. That is a national security crisis. Our Black kids are going to be complete slaves for the rest of the duration of their lives. I don't care how educated you are, all of you with those fake degrees and all of you joining all these fraternities and doing all of this and shit, you're going to be unfucking employed. Because you don't have
straight like that. Is it straightforward like that?
Right. You know, all of these cult members, you're going to be unemployed because you're not retooling your mindset on what's going to happen. So that's why, you know, I'm watching it. You could see it. You can see it.
You said something very important to me. You said you have to love yourself.
Yes.
And some of these folks that I encounter, they don't love themselves. So I'm like, how can you have an opinion about who you don't like? How can you, like, you don't even like yourself? Why would I listen to you about anything? When you are not treating yourself good.
Yeah. You know what we need? We need a citywide yoga meditation.
Yeah, we do.
Because I mean, I'm not going to lie. And I love you, young lady. And I know I love people, but this is a very stressful environment to live in.
It is.
I mean, I age when I come. I literally age a day or two when I come back around here because this is ugly.
It is. You know what? Can I talk about a personal experience too with protesting? When we had the water situation, it was so hard to get people to come out to that and fight for clean water. So hard. And it's like, this is our water. This is not for any money. This is not for one individual person. This is our water. This is something our kids drink, and it could interfere with their cognitive ability and them being productive citizens.
It's about love. It's about self-love. They don't have it. They have learned to accept garbage as hope every day. They don't mind eating bad food. They don't mind drinking bad water. They don't mind telling you you ain't nothing because you don't agree with them and living a subpar life, right?
Yeah,
they find garbage on the street. They don't mind their kids. I said, now that doesn't say. Now, let's be clear. There are a group of people in this town that don't feel that way. And there's a civil war going on in this town. And the people on, I should say, your side, right?
Yeah, it's drumming up. It's definitely drumming up.
We haven't caught up to speed yet, right? But they're almost there. And I think that in the next couple of years, you're going to see a seismic change in the culture of that because people are just tired.
I hope so.
Well, if not, they're going to perish.
Without me, though. Without me, I don't do trauma bonding.
Now you see, that's why your algorithm is different. Because you were honest. I used to tell, and some of these people in the thread know me very personally. They know me very personally. I said, I ain't dying here. I'm telling you right now, I'm not dying here. You know, I'm like, I'm not dying on this soil because that says a lot about your perspective. And you should want better. You should want the finest restaurants. You should want the finest museum. Look what they did to the Newark Museum. They destroyed that place. They put this monstrosity down there.
They turned it into a shelter.
I mean, who in the hell would allow them to take that beautiful edifice, that historical edifice, and put an apartment adjacent to it to take the parking away? Let me tell you, you done pissed me off. Let me tell you about the architectural landscape of Newark. Have you driven around Newark? It looks like a fucking jail. All of this new housing development looks like a jail. This is what these kids are going to look
They
like.
don't even have an urban planner. They need an urban planner.
But look at the architecture. It's a low frequency architecture.
And Newark had our historic buildings. Oh my! And they want to tear one down. Newark they want to tear a historic building that looks like a castle, Kevin.
The Newark Museum is indicative of the culture of leadership.
It is.
They took the very parking lot that community came in, because Newark, everybody came to the Newark Museum. Now you got
the Newark Public Library.
Now you got a marble. You got a right. But what are you talking about, Shakima? What are you talking about? I walk downtown. Everybody knows I will walk downtown. If I was in Brooklyn, I would walk 12 blocks to eat. If I was in Manhattan, I would walk 12 blocks to eat. If I was in Queens, now I'm walking downtown, and I don't know whether to cry or turn around and go back home. You can't keep a restaurant open down there. They always dine on the vine, right? You
got Goblin Market. So that's what I call them on Broad and Market Street. Goblin Market. The goblins out there selling the drugs, high off the drugs. No stores, like you said.
But don't get me wrong. If you want to have a national discussion about policy with Trump, that's fine. I think that is perfectly okay. I have no problems with that. But deal with your issues at hand on right now. Deal with your issues. Mm-hmm. See, and that's the problem. We want to be distracted, because if you really got to deal with our issues, it'll make you want to cut your throat. Like, damn.
And that's why I agree with Zaire. He said that. He said, I'm dealing with my own issues as a Black man that we haven't even resolved as a community.
Well, I only judge you. Like, look, I mean, I know what a city looks like when it's growing and evolving. I know what the cultural components is. I know what the social components is. I know what the traffic patterns are. I know what the budget should be analyzed and looked at. I know how to reduce. I know how to reduce taxes. I know how to build a frequency where residents want to take ownership of their own communities. It's a science to it.
Right.
Because I've lived it. What you have now is a group of intellectually corrupt misfits that have driven this city into the ground. And I mean literally into the ground. Listen what I'm saying. Intellectual corrupt misfits. And we actually I can't believe people even listen to them.
I don't know what's going on.
Listen, I know a story that happened the other day, and I can't say the young man's name. He was having an event, a book signing, and he was having it at a store downtown that is supposed to be about a community, right?
Right.
You know, somebody from the administration called up the store and told them, don't let them have the book signing there.
Why? I thought we were all on the same page with promoting literacy.
Now listen to me now. You understand how small-minded and how dysfunctional and how corrupt that is.
Now, did the bookstore listen?
Because this person doesn't agree with the administration. They are so small that they will get involved in a book signing. So their priorities are all wrong.
Wait a minute. Now, did the bookstore listen?
Yes.
Wow. Then you know what? People should not support that bookstore.
Yes. And that's I call it the Bonnie Ghani bookstore. You know, it's supposed to be about Black people, right? It's supposed to be about Black people. Listen to what I'm trying to say to you.
Amazon.com.
That's
where I get my books from.
I'm like, so
that's sad.
They are so small, right, that they will get involved in, you know why? Because they're not focused on growing our local economy. They're not focused on restoring faith in government. They're not interested in repairing our school system and helping us to create effective human capital to be able to be competitive in the global market or regional market or local market. They're not focused on entrepreneurialism and small businesses. And let me tell you what's going on in the state of New Jersey and states like this state. They have regulated small businesses out of business.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard. It's really hard for small businesses right now.
So now you know what people are doing. They're going south now. They're going south. They're all going south. They're all opening up their businesses. Everybody's catering to their businesses. Everybody's buying their product. Everybody. I mean, think about the shift from the Great Migration to here to the north, and now there's another migration going to the south. But it's slightly different. The people that are going to the south are entrepreneurs. The people that are going to the south want to live a different quality of life. The people that are going to the south, see, it's a different reversal. We came here to get away from Jim Crow, but we really left all of our farms and left all of our business and left all of our banks to integrate with people didn't like you any goddamn way. So you integrated to be with people that never liked you anyway.
And want to force them to still like you, which I think is a waste of time.
It is a waste of time. It is a waste of time. But just think about that, Shakima, for a second. That's small. That's their priorities. And that's why you have a $500 million deficit.
And it's crazy that the bookstore didn't stand up to that, because they have a wide variety of customers, and stuff like that can't make you lose customers.
Well, their customer base, they'll never lose their customer base because they really don't have any customers. It's a place my thing is, like, why would any administration get involved in something that small?
Wow. That doesn't make sense.
I'm trying to help the group get a space, and I'm working on it because everybody should be up. At least nobody's going to work tomorrow in this, but everybody will be up tomorrow. I'm trying to find a nice space, right? There's a young man that wrote a book around Black Panthers, which I think is a good thing to discuss, because Black Panthers were very important to our community. Not this farce we've seen as in the last 10 days. Black Panthers was a movement to restore Black America. Fed our children, educated our children. Majority of the Black Panthers, they went to college, but they became professors. They became leaders in their community.
Politicians, elected officials.
Why would you stop somebody from bringing young people in to talk about the construct of the Black Panther movement? It was the Nation of Islam, the Black Panther movement. Right? Those were real movements.
They were.
Not a movement. The NAACP was not a movement. All of them other they didn't do anything.
And what is the NAACP doing now in Newark? Since you brought them up.
The NAACP is a proxy for the globalists and white supremacy. That's all they do. That's it. They're a proxy for the globalists, and they are a proxy for white supremacy in the Democratic Party. They don't work on any policies to secure anything for Black Americans. They are now a very equitable organization.
Wow.
Equitable organization.
Wow.
So, all of those pseudo nonprofits, they don't do anything to work to advance Black. So they need to take the advancement of Black people out and say the advancement of LGBTQ, the advancement of illegal immigrants, the advancement of abortion. We got to
just say the advancement of everyone that's not Black.
You know what?
That's all. That's all.
I'm gonna do that too. I got
to. That's what it's turned into.
Right. So now I want everybody to know at home that sanctuary cities are slave cities. Sanctuary states are slave states, because all of their policies are to strip you from your human rights, your civil rights, your rights to protect your child, your rights to protect your body sovereignty, your rights to be able to earn and open up a small business, your rights to protect your family.
Can I point out something that a good friend shared with me? And I think it's notable to mention it. She said that Dr. King, the Black Panthers, Malcolm X, all the groups that strive to make a difference and improve the quality of life for Black people, they were under their 30s, Kevin, when they did this.
Yep.
They had no clue what they were doing, but they knew something wasn't right in how they were being treated in this country. And they organized and got together and pushed.
Well, you know what? That's a very good point. They were young men, and they learned and evolved in the midst of their struggle. So what they started out they became something different. Is they started to understand the system differently. Martin was not the same Martin before he was assassinated. Malcolm was not the same Malcolm. They evolved. You are that person too. You've evolved since I've met you. You've evolved, right? I mean, so the evolution, the more information you get, the more you open up your mind, the more you dive into history, the more you absorb the cultures that you've seen been successful, or failed. You know, I mean, you evolve. You see the
Right.
system for what it is, and I got to tell you, that is a very interesting thing you said there. That's very interesting.
They,
You said because
Kevin,
all of
they
you
were
young,
basically kids. They were basically kids.
yeah, they were.
And they made a difference. And
They
here
were.
we are. Which way do we go? And
Well,
we have more access to resources. We have, you know, they did the most with nothing. They had nothing.
no, but you know what, Shakima, can I say something to you? Black people came into this country under the worst circumstances of any group in the world.
Mm-hmm.
We were stripped of our humanity. We were stripped of our name. We were stripped of our souls. And those Black Americans, those ancestors, those ex-slaves had more character and had a deeper understanding of the universe than we could ever have. They didn't cry when the Civil War was over. They went immediately to look for their loved ones and to become literate. And then you know what they did? They took their existing communities and they built an economic ecosystem that was second to none. And you know what we did? We walked away from that to integrate and assimilate into a society that never wanted us in the first place.
Right.
Okay. And you know what? I think the civil rights issue was an issue that of importance, but it was so watered down before because see, that was not the first civil rights bill. We had several prior to that. And each one of those bills, the 94% that we give our votes to the Democratic Party, they did what? They filibustered all of those bills. Any important thing to help Black Americans, they filibuster, or we got to do a study. But every Black elected official, every Black elected official in the Congress right now, their number one priority is to protect the illegal immigrant and kill federal officers or endanger federal officers, right, with this organized chaos.
Can we do a study on this immigration situation? Why was there no study done on that? They just jumped right in.
They did do a study. Now, let me give you, I might, because I'll forget this if I don't say this on your show.
Yeah? Okay.
Let me tell you what this is, the immigration thing, the second part or the first part of what this is. So when they allowed the illegal immigrants that came in, they tried to make them citizens immediately. Because one thing about the Democratic Party, they want to control the electorate. They cheat beyond anything you could ever imagine.
Right.
Right?
I believe
so
that.
if they brought illegal immigrants in, that was going to be their new workforce. That was going to be their new constituent, and they enriched them immediately. So Black Americans have been operating on the what is it called? We're the lower class when in fact we were par in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, and 60s, and the 70s, and some of in 70s in particular. And there's a whole variation of why that changed. But think about what I'm saying to you. They brought a group of people in here over the border, open up the border, and if you see what's happening in the UK, if you see what's happening in Germany, if you see Italy is kicking them out, Italy don't want no parts of it. If you see what's happening in Switzerland,
the UK is horrible.
But
the UK is horrible.
They don't even have their original culture anymore. So they're ruined. Their countries are ruined. And that should be their problem. What we're saying in this country, no mas, no more. Now, guess who's against illegal immigration more than we? Who? Immigrants. They're against illegal immigration.
You know why? Because they came and they did their due diligence. They paid their fees. They took the test, and they feel like it's not fair. Are they going to be reimbursed all their money? Are they going to get reimbursed their time for coming in the legal way, the lawful way?
But they accepted the Constitution. They accepted whatever the values are. They did all of the civic work that they needed to do.
They did.
And they assimilated into our society, which is okay. Now, we didn't have that opportunity. I can go into that all day. But that's besides the point. That is absolutely besides the point.
Fast track. So
what they're doing with the illegal immigrants, that is the wedge constituent for them. Because they know that if we give them free, they're going to vote. But that's not the case. That's not happening that way. But believe me, and then the second part of that, this is why they were trying to put them in homes and put them in apartments and give them free license. I call it the license that they're giving them, they should not be getting at all. But what they wanted to do is to legitimize them as quickly as humanly possible. So when the census come back around, the numbers would protect their congressional seats. This is
That
all
too.
organized crime. This is organized crime at its best. So this is a numbers game.
It definitely is. I'm glad you said that.
You see my
because
point?
I hope people are thinking now about this numbers game and what they're doing.
It's all about the census.
Bamboozling.
It's all about the census. That's why when you get your license in Newark or in the state, you automatically get registered. Now, here's another thing that people need to think about around the voting thing. And I've been paying attention to this a little bit, not much. So in this country, you should have an ID when you go to vote, right?
Okay.
The SAFE Act, the SAVE Act, or whatever is out. Right now, listen to this.
Okay.
Now. The Democrats are going to vote against that because if you have to have an ID to go vote, you have to qualify that you're a citizen. So what the Democrats are saying to the country, fuck you. We want these illegal immigrants to vote for us because we know that you're on to us, white America, Black America, Asian America, Jewish America. There's a lot of people on to it. So what do? They're saying in their state, the slave states, the sanctuary states is a slave state. They're saying, oh, you could just go vote without an ID. You got to get an ID to buy cigarettes. You got to buy, when you're a young person, you got to have an ID to buy alcohol. So now the Democrats are saying, oh no, anybody could vote. Think about what I'm saying to you.
But it's like, oh man, this is mind blowing because it's like an FU to Black people.
No, it's a FU to Americans, period.
Wow.
I started the show off by talking about the 450,000 people that just showed up in the last election, right? Right. Wait,
this part. Okay, right. Renee says, well, at least they didn't give them the 40 acres and a mule. They gave them how much, Kevin? But how much?
What? Well, how much what?
How much did they get? The reparations that?
Oh no, what they did was they gave them about $20 billion and probably even more.
20 billion.
They gave Ukraine. See, this is what I tell people: the reparations.
Can I just get a free house? That's all I want. A free house and a college education for my son. That's it. That's
illegals that come into the country illegally, they go get a license, they get registered, they're not naturalized citizens, they could go vote. Then, if the more of them go to vote, like in California, that's a big issue, right? Remember during the last election, 2020, I think it was 2020, something like that, when the Trump administration saying the election was stolen. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
And people kept saying it wasn't stolen. We're a democracy. We don't steal elections. I don't know where the fuck they live at. I live in New Jersey. They steal elections every day. Excuse the language. But they said
a whole nother show.
That they said that the man was lying. Well, guess what happened, Shakima? 7 months ago, the election board in Georgia had to come out and say the 350,000 votes that was cast was illegal.
Wow.
So he was right all along. Now, that's not because I'm a Republican. I'm just registered as one. I've helped Democrats before. What I'm saying to you is he was right again. They stole the election.
Okay.
This candidate in New Jersey got more votes than any governor in history. Listen to what I'm trying to say. This governor who
didn't those mail-in ballots
got more votes than any governor in the history of New Jersey. Come on, folks. That's not debatable. That's thievery at the first class.
Wow.
At the first class.
Let's see. She's governor, so let's see what she does with it.
Oh, stop. She ain't gonna do anything. Stop. Let me tell you something.
We'll track that. And that's what we're gonna say. If she does good things, okay, check for her. She did great. If she doesn't,
Lisa just said something that it's illegal. It is not illegal to ask for ID at a polling site because I lived in Florida, in Texas, in Boston. They ask for your ID. It is not illegal. It is not. It is not illegal. They ask for ID everywhere you go except the slave states, the sanctuary states, because they know they can't win in elections unless they cheat.
Yeah, but and here's the irony. Could you guys hear me?
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
We can hear you.
So here's the irony in that, though. Like you need for me, you need an ID to do all the stuff that you want in this world and in this life, right?
Right.
But we're picking the leader of a free world, and when we go vote, we're pretty much over the world to this person, right? And we're giving them the command of our military and arsenal, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
our response to say, hey, let's verify who you are so you can vote to put the person in the White House to lead the world. Because when we voting not just to lead the country, we're voting to lead the world to some degree. So the likely, like, the mankind is pretty much in our hands. So the least that we can do is verify who we are in order to vote. That's just, just to add
That's
on
a
to
very that's a very sensible approach. That's very logical.
Mhm.
You know, Zaire, that is very now. Why is that an issue? Why, if the SAVE Act is to make sure people have the right information when they go to vote, why is that such a task?
Mhm.
Right, right. Like you said, you got to show your ID for cigarettes.
Yep.
So
And you know what? When I buy cigarettes for my mother, they have to scan my ID, and I don't even smoke.
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, they
I had
scan.
no idea.
They take my ID and they scan it on like some type of scanner. It beeps and my information pops up that my age is over a certain amount or whatever. But yeah.
Now, Zaire, think about this for a second. Why is it in those states that they're going to push back? Because it's a census issue. It's a congressional issue, right? There's a Supreme Court case,
game.
right? There's a Supreme Court case that's coming up where they're going to be dealing with the issue of gerrymandering. So somebody said to me, said, well, Kevin, they're setting the civil rights movement back 100 years. I said, what are you talking about? That doesn't even make sense. I said, what you're seeing is the country is more diverse now.
Yeah.
So just like I can use race as an issue, they can use race as an issue.
Yep.
They can say, that we're not getting our quotas met. This is not just civil rights was just not for you, buddy. You don't understand.
Yeah.
You understand how they
that's
on this now,
right?
Yeah. So in Louisiana, they got greedy. The judge said, okay, I can understand you gerrymandering here, but they came back for a second hit. And you know what happened, Shakima and Zaire?
What happened?
People started looking at it and say, hey, wait a minute, this is bad. Now, all of a sudden, it's before the Supreme Court. And guess what's going to happen after that?
What?
Gerrymandering is not going to be, they will never be able to do gerrymandering, just to gerrymandering a Black community anymore.
They've been doing that. They've been corralling us.
So you know what's going to happen? That's going to take congressional seats from the Democrats. So you have to understand, what you're seeing now is organized chaos to destroy this country. And I don't care if you're a Black American, green American, blue American, you better understand it's beyond race. This is about total control. And the more we keep miring our consciousness in race, we'll never upgrade our algorithm to pursue anything that's going to take us out of the shit we're in right now.
Right.
So every time we talk about somebody, they did this to us. They did this to us. I can't go to the bathroom because they did that to us. No, you did it to yourself, and you're doing it to yourself. So at the end of the day, it's a numbers game, Sakina and Zaire. That's what it is.
I know. I already know about the numbers.
But you can't get around it. You can't have a partisan discussion about it because it's right there in front of you.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. That's it.
That's a good point too. That's a good point.
But if we were having these conversations in our neighborhoods, right? Because
we can't. We're gonna get blocked out. They're gonna. We'll make an appointment, and they'll call us 5 minutes before we're supposed to show up at a space. Oh, you can't do it here.
That's communism. That's Marxism. That's socialism. That's fascism. Forget Nazism, because people don't even understand who created Nazism. All of the isms were created by one group.
Oh,
okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Damn.
One group. So all of them were anti-Black. All of them were anti-human. All of them were anti-freedom. So anybody that's calling themselves a socialist Democrat is evil. Anybody that's touting fascist narratives is evil. Anybody that's remotely talking about anything communist is evil. And socialism never failed. None of the isms ever worked. So you have all of these young people grabbing onto these themes. This happened in the 60s before. And Lisa and some of us on this, they know we've seen this happen before. But now we have technology involved in it. Now we have now that is a hell of a recipe. Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you what's saving America today. I know you're gonna like it. Social media. I was against social media. Social media,
and that's another irony too. You would have never thought.
I mean, if you use it the right way,
freedom of speech,
and if you open up your mind to other shows, like I watch Megyn Kelly sometime, right? Some things she says is good, and some things I write on her page. You are absolutely incorrect, but here's the thing. Now, I might watch it for 10 minutes. She might have a clip that I'm like, oh, this is interesting, right?
Right.
I might watch somebody else. I'm open to thought. And I'm like, oh, well, you did make a good, that's a good point. But then if they say something that might be not correct, I'll put it in. It's no argument. I'm saying, well, you're not looking at it from the right perspective. That's it.
Right.
I ain't talking about their mother. I ain't talking about you ain't black enough. I ain't saying you a coon and you this and you that. See, that's reverse projection. When they say that to you, that means they're really saying it about themselves. So the whole thing about gerrymandering. I mean, gentrification or gerrymandering. Ooh, we are being gentrified out of our own communities right now by black people.
Live.
They gave this whole city back to the outsiders to eviscerate the people that live in this city. And this city is predominantly Black American and Hispanic, not Native Hispanic, not Puerto Ricans, but Colombians and Dominicans. So there's a whole array of Hispanic people. They're not
right. It's different. Yeah, it's different Hispanics now. It's very different.
So
because before it was Black and Puerto Rican, and
see, the Puerto Ricans left.
Right.
They left when they got the jobs, rightfully so. They want to do something. They have the right to move, get a better school system, get a cleaner neighborhood. What the hell is wrong with that?
Nothing at all.
Everybody should want that, right?
Yeah, better neighborhoods, and I feel like we have an opportunity to do that here in our city.
Well, you can't get past the garbage, Zaire. Hey, look, this is one of the filthiest cities in America. I drove through the South Ward. The real estate, the residential real estate looks like a war zone. Think about it, guys. Y'all are younger. I'm older. Y'all be burying me before I bury y'all. Think about what I'm saying. The picture that we just laid out. We went from global economics to regional. We went from global to regional to local. You can't have these conversations with the people in this town because they're intellectual misfits. And they're angry because they don't have the ability to see beyond their first step. And they're anti-you and anti-Zaire because you have a different algorithm, and it's called critical thinking.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I
went seeking for that. I actually took a class in critical thinking because I wanted to understand and figure out, am I thinking the right way? Am I, how can I get information that I need that's going to impact my life?
Well, the average kid in high school right now has not read the classics. The average kid in our schools, I'm talking about charter on down. They sometimes take the black kids out in charter and primp around, but they don't know what real art is, or the centuries of art. They're not
reading the classics.
They're not reading the classics at all.
That's crazy. The classics is history, and history is probably repeating itself because they haven't read the classics.
I remember reading Greek mythology when I was a young kid. I remember reading Shakespeare when I was a young kid. I remember reading all of the black literature of my time. Langston Hughes, James Baldwin.
Yes.
I can go on.
Native Son.
I can go into a museum now and identify all of the black great artists of my time, right? I can critically think when I'm reading the Vanity Fair, New York Times, Washington Post. I read all of those things all my life. Until the point that I realized that they were not useful anymore because it was propaganda. They were trying to push an agenda on me when in fact it giving me the news and giving me the opportunity to explore different things, right? Wow. A lot of our kids have never traveled.
Wow.
But they can tell you about Nicki Minaj, which I don't have a problem with her at all because I don't know. I mean, I shouldn't even say her name that way. But they can't tell you anything about the world. By the time I was 16, 17, 15, I knew what was going on in Iran and the Shah. I knew what was going on in Vietnam. I knew what was going on with Muhammad Ali and what the Supreme Court did. I knew what was going
Those
on.
were essays, Kevin. Those were social studies essays that you had to come back to school with your thoughts about.
And the thing about it is, I think one of the crises we have, and this is going to be painful for some people, we have created a culture of single mothers having daughters that become single mothers. You see what I'm saying? I might be saying it a little wrong, but we don't push family values anymore. Our boys walk around here, they beta to the point that they can't even handle a crisis. But let me tell you the other thing, though, Shakima and Zaire, that hurts me the most. And I told you this, Shakima, when I went to that meeting up the street, how it changed me. It changed me when I went and I saw those young people after that one of those people got killed. For apparent reason, Al Muta said, Mr. Jenkins, if you around, and I happen to be around, and I normally wouldn't do it, guys. I ain't gonna lie, because I can't handle that. But something told me it's one of those nights I was sitting here by myself. Gail was out. I said, shit, let me go up here and just go. What the hell? What do I lose? I do it in Arkansas. I do it in the Midwest. I go to places, I'm all in these places. So why don't I go to my neighborhood and go into a place, right? And when I saw those young people, I wanted to cry.
Why?
Because there was no hope. They were worn out. They look older than me.
What?
They look angry. No, they were not angry. They were in despair. I came back to Gail. I said, Gail, I got to talk to you. I had it all wrong. We screwed these kids. These kids, they all dressed in black and they dark and they really smart. They smart as hell. These kids are so damn smart, it's frightening. But you could see that they're living under extreme conditions.
Wow.
And it broke my heart. I really asked, if you ask some of my dear friends, I was messed up for 2 weeks. I said, what can we do? How can we help these kids? How can we restore them to some sort of level of thinking that they know they can do better? And you know what they were saying?
What?
In the whole time they were talking?
What?
They were talking about how can we do better?
And
I was so touched. I got to be honest with you. I was like, oh my God, look what we've done. And the place was packed. The place was packed.
Wow.
So these people don't even have a decent place. And then you have some misfits of society. Those misfits that roam around and they provocateurs. They try to get the mic and sound like they knew what they were talking about. But nobody paid them any attention because the line was long.
Right.
And those young people don't know how to cast those demons out. Like, this meeting ain't for that. Sit your ass down. They ain't strong enough for that. Sit your ass down and don't even give them the mic. But the overarching narrative is like, we want to do better. We don't want to kill each other. How can we figure out a plan of action to do? I was really like blown. I'm not going to lie to you. I was just blown away. I came back home. I was numb. I don't know that world. Zaire, I don't understand it, but I get it. I passed judgment on them, though. And that was the thing that I was disappointed in myself. I passed judgment on them. They never had any hope from day one. Because look at what their leaders sell them. Look at what their leaders sell them. Garbage is hope.
Yep, garbage is hope.
Look what their leaders sell them. The black men that are supposed to be formidable, the black men and women that, and this whole thing is so insidious now that I'm like, damn. Like, oof. Like, what do we, like, when I talk to my grandsons, I'm so deep with them now. And I'm like deep with them now. I'm like, hey, let's get deep on this.
Wow, I'm glad you're talking to them. I'm glad you're talking to them.
No. I realized that I was negligent, and I'm never going to be negligent again. And guess what? Thank God my grandsons have the mother that they have, right? That she was it was embedded in their algorithm for me to tap into a little bit more. But I will never let them go. Oh, hell no. And that's why I can be very fucking selfish. I'm like, huh. But I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Because you know what's out there. You know what they could get roped into.
And they never had a follow-up meeting, which was fine. That's okay. They'll deal with that.
Right. But the fact that they put that together, they want change.
Right. They keep being beat down.
Yeah.
You can't, it ain't your time to do this. Who the fuck? Let me tell you something, though.
That could have been a distress signal from the youth.
Yeah, I think, you know what? That's a very good point. I think it was. But I'm just so happy I was there. Normally, I'm not going to lie to both of you, I wouldn't go because I don't have faith in it. I'm like, ugh, I'm not getting involved in that nonsense. That's ridiculous. I will tell you what I
Right.
really tell you offline, what I really say about it. But I can't say that would be rude. I'm like, y'all be like, Kevin, you're right, but it's still wrong. So, but but Zaire, it impacted me for 2 weeks.
Mm.
I said, oh my God, gal. I had no idea because I don't live in that world. I never lived in that world. I never had that reality. I knew it was out there, but our kids don't, because they don't have no family structure. They don't have
Yeah.
values, principles.
Yeah.
They don't know what's real. They don't know what's
Yeah.
wrong. They don't know. And I held them to a higher standard, and I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong.
Wow.
I was,
Wow.
and anytime you can get, and even they can't even complete sentences with a real critical like link to it.
Okay.
And their body movements are like, well, and I'm like, and that's all because the frequency out of rap music, when it became negative, and the images that they saw for these last 30 years, we should be appalled by
Yeah.
what we allowed to happen in the rap industry and how they communicate about our Black women, about our Black children, about Black life. It was all a lie. The frequency was wrong. So now we got these kids trapped in this algorithm frequency that's detached from humanity, that's detached from emotions, the right kind of emotions.
And communication.
Right.
Because some of them, you don't know what they need or what they're trying to say.
Absolutely, Shakima. And I'm slowing down, and I'm trying to change my hearing so I can hear the frequency a little bit, but I can't get there because I just can't. It's very difficult for me. Even when I talk to my grandsons, I'm looking them straight in the eye. And I'm having this passionate conversation with him as a man, not a beta man, but as a man, not a real man, but a man.
Right.
I don't understand that real man nonsense. A real man. What the hell is a real man? You know what I mean? I don't get that. You can be anybody and still resonate a superiority that the kids will trust you and value. I don't like the word superiority, but they understand that you have their best interest. And none of these young people believe we have their best interests. None of them.
Yeah, rightfully so, though.
And it hurts me
because look at how our city is going. And like Alkaline Food says, he presented apprenticeship opportunities, and the educational system disregarded. And he does the trades.
Wait a minute, though. And guess what? He's primed. I know who he is. That's my friend in Sydney. But he's primed because there's going to be a shift for vocational education. And Sydney called me. Sydney called me tomorrow sometime because I'm going to tell you where the funding is for it. But here's the deal. The public schools, as we know it today, they all should be blown up. They're factories of death. And we should all blow them up and retinker them. And I'm talking about charter. I'm talking about all of them. They're not building effective human capital. We should blow them up. They're not effective. There should be a combination of basic math, basic science, strong literature, strong writing, and vocational. Even if it's legal, but it's got to be vocational. It has to be market assessed.
Right. And you know what? You mentioned something. You mentioned the schools. I'm still confused how all this research and all this data was gathered to come to the determination that the schools were it was a school to prison pipeline, and you still had the kids in it.
No, but you see, school to prison pipeline is that's a whole nother show. But let me just
that's the way they're educating. It's the way they're educating.
The public school system is built on the agricultural timeline. It's not. When I was going to school, I didn't get educated the way you got educated in your school per se. I don't know you went to school. We had creative education. So we worked outside of the school. Some of us clerked as judges, some of us worked at PBS, so we were building socialization and business skills, right? Then our classroom education was very strategic, literature, critical thinking, historical, history from a global perspective. And then we went into the other geometry, blah, 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 blah. Right. But we had a skill set. When we walked out of our school, we could incorporate our learning skills and socialization skills and our understanding of the world. We parlayed that into something effective. Now we're going into artificial intelligence. Now we're going to all of these technological facilities, right? And now we have to train our kids in the basics of plumbing and because those jobs will never go away. You can automate them if you want to, but
right. You're not going to automate.
Go away.
Yeah, and I told Shakima, actually, the military is having an issue right now when it comes to skills, finding skilled workers, and it's actually compromising somewhat of our national security because we cannot bring vessels. So right now they're trying to build more ships, right? But they can't because welders, and they don't have enough welders. They don't have enough skilled people to build these things, right? And yes, we have the engineers, we have the IT guys, we have it, but who's going to put it all together? Who's going to assemble it? Right.
Good point. I was not aware of that. That's a very good.
Yeah.
You just gave me an idea, Zaire. You keep talking, kid.
So I just wanted to throw that out, that the military is actually struggling with hiring civilians to go to these shipyards and build. So that's why they're looking outside of America to go and build, our ships, which I disagree with.
I do too. I do. And you know what? And that's what this administration,
that's economic development being sent somewhere else.
That is one point that I know that there was a difficult of them getting candidates because they're obese and they sick, all of them sick. They can't.
Oh, that too, the obesity.
But this military and trade thing, I did not. You just helped me through something, Zaire. I'm glad you came on the call today because I would have missed that. Because my brain is working on all cylinders now. You are that's a whole nother market for these young people. The only reason I don't push, what, I'll say that for another day. That was good, Zaire.
And they're looking for mainly. Well, we got to push more towards civilians, but I think when the military they fell behind because they also didn't increase the pay throughout the time because it was everything to them was duty to country, and it's like, well, if I can go private welding for $50 an hour, I'm going to take that over to $25 an hour. So they also increased the pay, but the people were already gone. So I think that we can tap into that type of environment as a community to say, hey, even though you may not want to be a lawyer, doctor, things like that, you can still be a plumber, but you could be a plumber for the U.S. government. Right.
You know what, man? You are so right about that. And
my plumber makes a lot of money.
Those professional degrees are worth 2 cents. I mean, they conned them. And this is the other thing. You know what? You reminded me of something, Zaire. When they reclassified the degrees, everybody lost their mind. Oh, they diminished. No, what they were saying was, why are you paying $250,000 to get a nursing degree? Those colleges are benefiting from that. Those kids were leaving school in debt. So they reclassified it all, right? So the degree will be connected to the price. So all of these schools are making tons of money off of these kids.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So now what this administration said, enough of that. You're not doing that anymore. You're capped at this number for nursing. You're capped at this number for this. So those kids don't have to carry all of that debt. Now, you would think that our people would say, wow, like, okay. You know what our people say? Oh, he's saying, well, he's trying to get rid of our degrees. We're so freaking stupid. I mean, that's not what it was about. But you know why? Because they have been propagandized. Now, some people might say, well, I didn't know. Well, guess what? And when he started doing it, I really didn't pay attention to it. I started researching. I said, oh my God, he's helping people. Guess what's hurting young people in this country that went to college now? Debt.
Right.
They overpaid for their useless degrees. They're useless degrees. When you go, if you're not graduate the top tier of your class in law, you're not going to get anything.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
So, and same thing with everything else. Doctors don't even have to study that long now because they're protocol doctors now.
And transcripts are being used more than the diploma itself now. People want to see transcripts now more often. A lot of federal jobs are requiring transcripts, not just a degree. They want to see.
That's good. They want the top talent.
Qualities and competencies throughout these 4 years rather than, oh, he just met the standard.
Mm-hmm.
So
you know that at all. I didn't know that. Zaire, you keep talking.
Yeah, they're hiring.
These C students are out here writing prescriptions.
Yep.
Well, but it's very interesting you say that, Zaire. There are two things that I was not aware of that I'm glad you brought it up. This transcript thing and, this military, that is very important. That's very important. See, this is why your show is important, Shakima. You get an old man like me with nothing to do. I drink a little scotch. I talk to you for 2 hours and I try to do my best. And then I go upstairs and, look at some damn I'm watching the whole series of Game of Thrones over again. I watch it every year.
So this is
my first year. So now you got this old man up here. You know what though? It's like a conversation anyway. So I'm not offended. I love you for that. But I got to tell you, Zaire, I got to get to know you better.
Oh, Zaire is very intelligent.
Well, you know what though? And I think it spills over. And like your readership, your people that view your show, right? On my age, that says a lot, Shakima.
Yeah.
And like I said, you have evolved. I mean, you have evolved. I tell you, kid.
That's like my credit score. I looked at my credit score. It says around you in your 50s or 60s. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
People my age, and then people my age are like 420, 500. And I'm like, what the hell are they doing?
Well, it's interesting when you can get a Sydney and a Lisa and a Renee, you in good stead. They hear my big mouth all the time. They don't care, but they don't hear my shit. Lisa hear my shit all the time. So she don't care. She's like, Kevin Gross says to go to bed. But I got to tell you though, it's very impressive in Zaire and you and Shakima to just open up this dialogue. And look, it's not about your party.
No, it's not.
It's about your principles. It's about your values. It's about how you see yourself in the world. It's about how you love yourself. We have to stop being so partisan and tribal because that's how they work us over. See, as long as we stay there, this is what they mad. But see, as long as we stayed there, those people was making all the money. But this guy took all that money. It's all gone.
Right.
So when I see your list of people that watch your show, I'm like, you're in good stead because they are very smart people.
Definitely.
They're very smart people.
These are people I learned from.
Yeah.
I learned from you too. And I also learned from Zaire also.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like to be around people like that, where I'm constantly learning and I'm just not going with the flow or with the okie doke. Or for the 52 fake out.
52 fake out. Well, that makes sense though. But Zaire, I want to talk to you before I get out of here. But I got to tell you this though. If you can get more young people, I'll give you an example. And I was talking to somebody the other day. I said, what we need to do a panel discussion somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Topic and just go for it. That is how I grew up.
Yeah. Let's do it.
I'm not afraid to tell you I'll call Lisa and she'll tell me to go to hell but that brain I want to talk to.
Right.
I want to talk to these people. I want them to say to me, whatever. It doesn't matter because we're family. When did we as family stop talking to each other for partisan politics? That is the most ridiculous thing.
Man, Kevin, I've seen people getting divorced after 40 years. I'm like, because y'all have different political views? That's crazy.
Well, you know what? Though?
I'm not throwing away my partner for like, how strong was the relationship if it took that for you to throw away your partner?
Well, I don't think they were ever partners in the first place.
They couldn't have been.
They couldn't
have been.
They couldn't be.
And like you said, they're dividing people up.
So I don't care if you're white. I don't care if you're black. We're fighting the same. See, this is the thing. Until you travel. Now, remember what I'm saying to you. Until you travel, you will never know the truth. Until you sit in the bar in Arkansas, in the Midwest, in the heartland, right? In those towns, and you sit there and you listen, you be like, well, God dog it. You guys are in bad shape. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Until you travel that part of the country, until you go into other parts of urban America, you really don't know what people feel. You being propagandized when you turn on your TV. But if you get in your car and you go into a diner, you go into a bar, you listen to them, and they will be saying the same thing you're saying. They don't trust the government. They don't trust the Republican Party. They don't trust this. They say they fucked up our schools. They took our economy away from us. They closed up our plants. They got rid of coal. They got rid of the same exact thing you're saying, they're saying. But when you turn on your TV, it's us against them. Yeah. You turn on your TV, it's them against us. You turn on your TV, white privilege, racism, anti-Semitism, anti-gay. Wait a minute though, anti-gay. It's all of us fighting each other, right? We're fighting each other. We're not listening to each other. We're fighting each other. You know why? Because the algorithm of evil can only work when that's happening. I'm gonna leave you with that. The algorithm of evil can only work when that continues. And that's why our leadership is the way it is. That's why we keep embracing it, even though the people are fighting, right? The fighter's algorithm is built into their DNA. So when you have a Shakima and a Zaire, you're not fighting. It's in your DNA to do what you're doing. That's your algorithm to be a disruptor in the system. It was Malcolm's algorithm. It was James Baldwin's algorithm. It was Malcolm X algorithm. It was Elijah Muhammad's algorithm. It was Paul Robeson algorithm. It was their algorithm is your algorithm. But they'd had the press, right? Now you got social media. You have more power than they had to talk to people. Right. Isn't that deep?
Yeah, that's deep. That's deep.
So your algorithm is their algorithm. Right? And Kruma and Dr. Jeffrey and Dr. Clark and Dr. Vincertaman, Dr. Scott. I could go on and on and on and on. See, I'm just blessed to be a part of that algorithm. Right. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So we're truly blessed. And if we embrace that algorithm, we can overcome any obstacle in our personal lives and our business life, because ours is based on faith, freedom, and family.
Amen.
Family, yes, I agree. Yeah.
People to understand this. Understand it. You are in a unique place. And as long as you tap into your pineal gland that's clouded because of all the poison we put in our mouth, right? That's another thing we have to discuss about health and food and water and consciousness and environment, not the environment they're creating for us where they spraying shit from the air every day. And guess what? They got rid of chemtrails now. This administration got rid of chemtrails.
Oh, wow.
But see, if we start talking to each other, like I said, chemtrails that's being put to bed, right? So think about that. An average person don't even know what a chemtrail is.
Yeah, I know.
I know what the chemtrails are.
They're poison. They're poison in the air.
Poison in the air and
5G,
water.
Right? 5G has an impact on our health. You don't hear our communities talking about 5G.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't hear that.
Yeah.
So we're not even having real conversations because we're dealing with a group of people that algorithm is against ours. Well, our algorithm is more powerful than theirs, but we can't activate it because we're not conscious. We're not tapped into the God consciousness.
Okay.
You see, when you tap into the God consciousness is not hooping and hollering in church. You're talking about some deep internal shit that gets you to see the world for where it is. See, God consciousness is deep. Once you transcend there, no matter what, you're never going to be the same.
I agree.
And you're never going to find that in church. You're never going to find that in the mosque. Because the God consciousness is in you. It's not external, it's internal. And that's where we fail. That's why we argue with each other all the time. Because you have one group of people in the algorithm that lives in fear. You have one people in the algorithm, right, that that's in chaos. So we got to kind of decipher where we fit. And that's why the people in the Malcolm algorithm and the Christ algorithm, right, and those algorithms, that's why nobody will ever forget them. They will never forget a Sydney. They will never forget a Lisa. They will never forget a Jay. They will never forget, because those people are in a different algorithm. They're connected more to the God consciousness, right? That gets them to do what they do. That is a deep conversation that disconnects ourselves from this diabolical system that man has created.
Right. Right.
I'm sorry to get that deep on you guys. I just wanted to just have that conversation.
It is diabolical, though.
It's diabolical.
They're doing all this, but people are still in poverty. People are still hungry. You know, there was like a GoFundMe war with this ICE situation. I'm like, all that money that went into those GoFundMes could have went to house people, feed people, uplift people.
It's really interesting. Now, all of those GoFundMes are controlled by the globalists that wants to continue. See, it's all a web. See, one thing that COVID did when they locked you in your house, a lot of people did a lot of homework. They're not fooled.
Yeah.
They know what the International Monetary Fund is. They know what the CDC is. They know what the FDA is. They know what the World Economic Forum is, right? They know what the EU is. They know what the NATO is. We now can decipher what leaders were real and what leaders weren't. It's like if you ask somebody about Idi Amin, he was a terrorist. No, he wasn't. He kicked out all of the bankers and kicked out all of the people that took control of their land and their money. So when you do that, the first thing the globalists do, white supremacy, if you want to give it a name, call you a terrorist.
Wow.
Gaddafi, same thing. He was organizing Africa. Think what he was doing. They killed him. They called him terrorist. And guess who killed him? Obama.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now you got Torre.
Even uplifted the women and gave them jobs and security. I thought that was.
You got Torre, right? And Mali, I call it the Mali. That young man he's got all of us in him. He's got Malcolm and he's got everybody in him. That guy in Africa, the young guy, Torre.
Yeah,
They didn't try to kill him 4 or 5 times.
That's Burkina Faso, right?
Yeah, Burkina Faso. But there's a whole rim there. It's just not Burkina Faso. It's 2 other countries right there. It's the old Mali nation. Now it's the new Mali nation. They're now teaching their kids in their language. They're now praising God in their language. They're now engaged in vocational education so they can build their nation.
Right.
See, now he will be deemed a terrorist. They tried to do it during this administration, and Trump and them was like, they was told, if you screw with that boy, you might as well just go in and kill yourself. Because that way Africa would split like you've never seen it before.
Wow.
So they backed away from it. See, now I can say that about this administration. You see how easy that was?
Right. Yeah. You being truthful about, criticism and things that are not working. And
absolutely.
You notice people are in a cult when they agree with every single thing.
Oh, I told Shakima that people get caught in these cycles that my grievances narrative is bigger than yours, right? And then they stay within their amen echo chambers, right? They operate in silos, so they don't force themselves to think outside the box. You got and let's just say a liberal will always align with liberals. Liberals will love to watch CNN. They'll their Twitter. They won't follow anybody from the right, let's just say, or from the right to the left, right? Some people follow. So we got to get out the amen echo chambers and challenge ourselves to new ideas and new things. Because as long as we stay complicit in our values, right? Because our values have to change when we change, right? And your values change throughout time. And so when people sit and they say, oh, amen this, amen that, amen, it's rather than, well, wait a minute, why am I saying amen again? So
they are repeat.
Yeah,
they don't even know why they saying it.
Yes,
going along.
Hey, Zaire, you're spot on. You're absolutely spot on. Yeah. You know what though? And you young people are the future, and you're gonna have to fight for your future.
That's
you're
what we've been doing.
And I'm just happy I have enough energy to sit down and talk to y'all like this, because I really don't. At the end of the day, I just look at people when they're talking to me in my head. I'd be like, if they know what's going on in my head, I'm like, you don't want to know what's going on in my head, so I got to tell you. But I'm like, this ain't good, and especially when they start getting all hot and stuff. I tell you, they talk about your mother. Hey, my mother ain't got to do with a political conversation,
Wow.
Like, you ain't black enough, and you this, and you that, and you this. Those tricks don't work for me. That I'm like Spock. I'll mind meld you. I'm like, I ain't interested. That stuff doesn't work for me at all. And I laugh at you if you think you really get me all charged up. If anything, I make you want to go home and cut your wrist after I finish with you. But but you'll cut your wrist. But I just hope and pray that Shakima, you keep building your show. And you allow me to come on your show and entertain you for a couple.
I appreciate
you. Joe Rogan. See these long formats like this. Really, you can explore stuff. Like you could do an hour, okay, fine. But if you do a long, but your show has to do an hour, right? That's realistic.
Yeah.
But you can do long formats sometimes, and have a person on to have a conversation like this. This could be helpful because we covered so much. Like nobody will be talking about the EU. Nobody will be talking about what happened in Davos. Nobody will be talking about the EU can't even fight a war. We have 82 bases around the world. Why is that?
Mm-hmm.
That's never been a good strategy for a nation. So we failed, right? We're failing right there. Mm-hmm. We can't police the world.
Right. I agree.
We can't police the world. So they got to deal with that. But what happened in last week, he took a sledgehammer to it. He just blew them away. Them Europeans, I shouldn't say this because you don't put this in the universe, but I'm scared for him. See, once you go after the crown and the central banks, once you go after the central banks, and the crown, and you go after the European system, they're so used to eating off of us. And seeing Roosevelt said something to Winston Churchill, and if Roosevelt would have stayed alive, now I'm not a big supporter of Roosevelt, but I know his history and I know what he accomplished for this country. He said to Winston Churchill, who was a absolute cold-blooded, heartless racist. I mean, that man was a racist. Roosevelt said to Winston, listen, Winston, we're not going back to the old system where Britain would go into the countries and extract and never build anything.
Oh, yeah.
And right now, that what he said, right, is resonating globally. And this is what this administration is saying. We are no longer propping you up. We're no longer fighting your wars. Mm-hmm. You will not come to our countries to set policies when it comes to our politics.
Right.
You are now going to have to take care of yourself. And the immigration issue that you brought on yourself is your problem. And as a matter of fact, all of these UN programs, we're not funding them anymore because it has nothing to do with America. And by the way, we're not fighting your wars anymore. If we're not doing good business deals, screw you. Now Europe has to grow up now. See, Europe has to figure out what they're going to be when they grow up. Because ever since World War II, NATO and the EU, right? We don't even need to be involved in NATO anymore because that was to fight against communism. Well, Russia is not a communist country anymore. It's a Christian country. You know who we fighting communism at right now, and fascism right now, and Marxism right now? In America.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting?
Wow, that's very interesting. Isn't
that interesting? Yeah. We're not right. Russia is not interested. Their ruble is doing fine. Their cities are evolving.
Right.
Their economy is booming.
Right.
So Greenland it's not even debatable. Of course, America is going to cut a deal with Greenland because it protects the Western Hemisphere. Of course, America is going to go into Venezuela and take back what it built because Venezuela didn't have any of that oil infrastructure.
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead, Zaire. Tell us.
No.
Go ahead, Zaire.
No, I was just in agreement, but I just wasn't really in agreement because we literally built Venezuela. I like that how he said the truth. Yes. Continue. I'm sorry.
So of course, he's going to look.
People don't even know that.
Of course, he's going to look at Colombia. Of course, he's going to look at Cuba. Of course, because he's now protecting the Western Hemisphere, and all of you out there, protect your shit. Mm-hmm. And we ain't funding it anymore, right? We're not funding it. And guess what?
Yeah. But
everything is down.
But why wouldn't people be happy about reducing the 82 bases? I thought that's what they wanted.
Well, it's not about just reducing. I don't know if they can do that. Those bases probably will shrink in time. But what he's saying is we'll be there regionally, but we're not fighting your wars.
Exactly. We're not spending money. I would think people would be happy. You want the military to stop spending our tax dollars.
You know what the Canadians did, right? The Canadians said, well, but see now Canadian is against their premier. They're I think he's a premier. They call him a premier. He gets up there in Davos saying there's a new world order. No, it's not. It's no new world order. He destroyed the new world order. And he destroyed the globalists. He destroyed the Democratic Party. He destroyed the Republican Party. He destroyed all of it. The Republican Party hate him.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like that guy. You think they like that guy? They do not like that guy because they were in cahoots with the Democratic globalists and the Republican globalists. They were the same party. He destroyed both parties. People don't even understand what happened because we're not taught to deal with international affairs, and we're not taught to deal with any of it.
Mm-hmm.
I love you both very much.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming on, Kevin.
And I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to have this conversation with now. If I have the conversation with you, now I ain't got to have it for 6 months because I'm tired of talking to these people. You keep showing this show, and they will get my thoughts.
Right.
And then that's fine. But I just appreciate you allowing me to come on and just like unload a little bit. Because when people are talking to me, I'm like, you understand? Because I don't even understand when they talk to me, my ears all mumbled. I can't hear them. They think I'm listening. It's all like garbage in my ear because I don't know what the hell they're talking about. I'm like,
oh man, they can't articulate, and they don't get that.
And thank the guests for staying with us and listening to us. And,
yes, thank the guests. The guests, my favorite guest of all times, as always. And thanks, Zaire. Thank you for coming on too and taking up your time. But because I thought your voice was very important for this conversation.
Zaire, you taught the old man something tonight, boy. I'm calling you. That kid taught me a lot tonight. I was like, oh, shucks. I was like, okay. That was you really got me thinking about something tonight, boy. Shakima, he doesn't know me. I'll be up all night thinking about this. Like, wait a minute, I got to figure this out.
He knows what he be talking about.
He knows what
That's why I listen to him.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Love you.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Kevin.
God bless all of you, and enjoy these snow days. Look, don't go to work tomorrow unless you're crazy.
All right, Kevin. See you later. See you later, Zaire. Okay, this has been Current Exposure. I hope you all enjoyed it. I am your host, Shakima K. That was Kevin Jenkins, Zaire Ruffin, and I am out of here. Peace.